कितना राउंड 6 होता, राइट? Position Ali. Hello and welcome back to our coverage of the Grenke Freestyle Open Chess Festival 2026. I'm Soumya. Joining me soon will be a grandmaster from Karlsruhe. And आज दोपहर को तो मजा ही आ गया. We saw Vincent beat Hans Niemann and score 6 out of 6. And there on our screen, we can see Vincent being paired against Magnus Carlsen. So this is the big matchup of the round today. This could be the decisive game that decides who will win the tournament after all, because this is the 7th round of the tournament. Agar ye round Vincent फिर से जीत गए, then he will be 7 out of 7. He would have defeated Hans Niemann and Magnus Carlsen back to back. Whereas Magnus is 1 full point Vincent now. Yes, that's right. Magnus is in fact chasing Vincent, and if he wins against Vincent today, then oh, there we have kickoff, and we also have our grandmaster Harshit.
Let's go.
Join us. Let's go, Harshit. I was just explaining to the chat that even if Magnus does beat Vincent in this game, he will still be only chasing Vincent. He will still be only tied with Vincent because Vincent is ahead by 1 full point. And there we have the position on our screens now. It's updated. This is the live position. क्या लगता है आपको? Harshit, this is the position that we have got for freestyle chess today. Queen on g1, bishop on d1, bishop on c1 as usual. But queen, knight और बिशप की पोजीशन चेंज हो गई है, बाकी सारे पीसेस सेम पोजीशन पे है.
Wow, sorry, I just got some very heavy message, but okay. So let's see.
Want to take your time? You can join us in 5 minutes.
No, it's fine. So let's see. Vincent, I was actually inside the playing hall somewhere, and I was trying to think myself, like to put myself in their position and try to think because we have a delay, guys. There is about a 15 to 20-minute delay, and I was trying to think, and I thought that d4 made sense. I also thought knight c3 actually has some merit to it. Knight c3 followed by e4. I do think it has some like it makes some sense. What do you think?
Okay, then. So let me try and understand what you mean. So you want to control the center first with d4. That's your first choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're opening up the bishop.
Oh,
And the second option you mentioned is knight c3. You're not starting with e4 first, but with knight to c3. Can you explain this move to us,
yeah,
Harshit?
like it's intuitive. It might not make any sense at all, but somehow, I feel like knight on c3, like I know that I'm going to develop my knight on c3 for sure. Whereas I was not sure if I want to push e4 or if I want to push d4. And that's why I thought knight c3 makes some sense.
Okay. So you want to keep your options open, like in life. Harshit, the non-committal one here, prefers knight to c3, a useful move that will be played anyway. What about
Yes.
the queen on g1? ये आप कहाँ से develop करना चाहते हैं? Do you want to play g3, g4, h3, queen h2? What are your ideas here?
Mm, I think a4 actually is a suggestion in the chat. And I think I'm quite glad that they could come up with this idea because we were always mentioning somewhere that when the rooks are on the flank, the idea of a4 or h4 is quite typical. And very nice, guys. Well done, actually. Let me see who suggested a4 because that's a very good suggestion. Yes, Mridul. Well done. And d4 played.
d4 played in the game. d4, a very logical move. You are creating space for your bishop to come out now. Uh, Also, standard move in standard chess, but the queen is usually on d1 here. I'm really concerned about our queen being on g1. It's going to take a lot of time to come into play. So, that is going to be the challenge of this position. I'm curious to see how a player is going to treat the problem of developing their queen.
And Soumya, there are very few players in the world of chess that Magnus Carlsen looks up to or respects for their strength. And Vincent is definitely one of them because in the interview which Magnus gave to Peter Lecco while they were analyzing, he said that, yeah, I always like to check the openings of Vincent because he's very, very strong in this format. So this
Oh.
is the match to follow, guys. Vincent versus Magnus. Kya crazy match hai. I'm all I'm all in terms of my energy and focus to break down this game and to learn something from it. Maza
Hmm.
aega.
Definitely, Harshit. In fact, when I joined the stream and I realized what the pairing was for today, the first thought in my mind was it is like watching a world championship match in freestyle chess because both these players are the top two players of this format. That's very clear to us after 6 rounds of play in the Grenke Open.
Yeah, I mean, one of them has 6 out of 6. Actually, it's 1 point lead, right? Soumya,
Yes.
that Vincent has. Yes, we were talking about this, and you, I think, did mention in the beginning of the video that Vincent has a 1 point lead. However, he wants to maintain that. I don't think he's like, let's just make a quick draw and move on to the next round. I think Vincent will try to fight in this game.
Vincent will try to fight. Magnus has to fight if he wants to play for first place in this tournament. He has to beat the player who is leading the event in order to run for the starting for the gold here. And d4 e4 is threatened, so यहाँ पे d5 ही खेला जाएगा ना हर्षित? और
Yeah,
क्या ऑप्शन है
D5.
ब्लैक के पास?
I don't think so, man, because you don't also want to be too solid with black. You want to keep some dynamic chances alive. So think this will not be an easy decision. Like I think Magnus will take his time to make the move because let's say d4, d5, and if I was in Vincent's shoes or if I was Vincent's trainer, which is Peter Lecco, I would tell him try to be solid and let Magnus complicate the game himself. There's no need for Vincent to do that. And I think after d4, d5, he might play a move like knight to c3.
Okay. In the
However, this
d5.
already allows actually c6. And now the bishop on d8 can come into a5. So we already see a small difference in the position.
So you mean e4 can be met with bishop to a5? It is a possibility, may not be the best one, but it exists, which did not when the queen was on d8.
Yeah. And I
Was a
saw
very fine idea there. Yes, Harshit, you saw something?
inside the playing hall, when the orbiters said start the clock, I think Magnus sat on the board for 2 minutes and then got up to see if any of the other boards have made a move, but none of the boards had made a move yet. So everyone was kind of, playing this hide and like, this Tom and Jerry game where like who makes the first move to try and get some information. But it's actually Vincent who makes the first move d4 and now Magnus is in the tank. By the way, we have three players on the stage today. In the freestyle section, we have Nihal, who's taking on Buddy, and we also have Leon Mendonça, who's taking on Jan Christoph Duda. And look at this
Nihal,
F5 played
Nihal has
by
got
Nihal.
a Dutch kind of setup in the usual standard chess positions, but here it also opens up the path for her queen. So Nihal preferring to free up the queen first before any other pieces.
Yeah, and guys, the move g4 might look tempting here. It might look really tempting to kind of challenge that pawn on f5. But after f takes g4, queen takes g4, black can simply play this move knight to c6. And after this, Soumya, black is ready to go d6 and e5.
Hmm. Did you calculate all of that in like 10 seconds?
I mean, I love freestyle actually. I told you, Soumya, this game I will be very focused. This game I'm really curious to see how the players are going to navigate through the position. Guys, do like the stream. Here you can see Buddy Pranav thinking with the white pieces. These guys have, really established themselves as top talents in the world of chess. And it's so nice to see that we get to see this Indian clash on round 7.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at other boards to see if anyone has chosen differently. Alexei Sarana chooses not d4 but f4 on the first move, preferring the same attitude as Nihal. You want to free your queen up first of all and then decide where to put your other pieces.
Mm-hmm.
F4, an interesting approach, I must say. We are always told don't touch the F pawn near because it weakens the diagonal around our king. But here, a queen needs to be developed. That is also very important. In the previous game, in the previous round, we saw Nodirbek's bishop was stuck on h8 its whole life. It started on h8 and it never came out except when it had to be exchanged on g7. at a much later stage in the game. So you don't want to do that with your queen, which is the strongest piece on the board. So
Yeah,
that's why
very
F4.
well explained there, Soumya. You definitely don't want your strongest piece in the game to be stuck. And that's why Alexi is like, पहले move में मैं खोल देता हूँ उसको. He goes F4. And I guess we can see a reverse Dutch if Daniel goes for D5. And it's funny because it's like white is black with a tempo up.
Mhm. So Nihal and Alexi Sarana's games could be similar.
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, Daniel is the player we've been following, right? He was the one who drew against Nadirбек.
Yeah.
He has enough experience playing against stuck pieces. Not this time, though. He might not get that chance. Even Leon goes for F4, actually, Harshit. Leon playing against Jan Christoph Duda on board 4.
Yeah. And it's nice that he can also kind of um, understand that F4 is one of the best moves in the position actually. It stops black from playing E5. It stops black from I guess G5 is, I'm not sure if G5 is something that black wants to do, but yes, it does in some ways play against that. And mainly we open up our queen, right?
You know, Harshit, just now you mentioned that F4 does control E5, and I was explaining this to the chat in the morning uh, while you were having breakfast. That a concept I learned recently is that, of course, as kids, we are always taught about the central squares, right? E4,
Mm-hmm.
D4, E5, and D5. But I recently made a course for beginners, and through
Mm-hmm.
that course, I learned that there is a concept like extended center, which are
Mm.
the squares F3, C3, F4, and C4 for white, and F6, F5, C6, and C5 for black, because they also control the center from here. So if you have your pawns in the extended center, you're also controlling the center in a way. And that's why with white, C4 on the first move is such a popular opening choice, because it not only develops a pawn forward, but it also controls the central square D5, the English opening. ये मुझे नई बात पता चली, जो मुझे इतने साल पता नहीं थी कि आपको ये बात पता थी.
No, I
Extended
think I
center.
was actually just enjoying listening to your explanation, Soumya. It's very well explained because yes, these squares on these pawns on F3, C3, as you mentioned, are also quite important to have control of those squares because then indirectly you control the center. But freestyle mein, it's quite unclear what center is, because in a
Hmm.
certain position it can be the E4, D4 squares, but in
Hmm.
other positions it can be G5, G4, these kind of squares.
अच्छा.
So, it really depends on where the pieces belong, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
look at Buddy here. He's having a big laugh. What
Like,
happened, Buddy?
I think he saw someone make the same moves as him. I have a feeling. And that's why he's wondering whether to go over their board and
He
just see
cannot
what they played.
stop. He cannot stop. Buddy. And Nihal too. अरे रुको भाई. Nihal and Pranav, good friends of the board. They are sharing a nice laugh here.
Oh, Harshit, MVL Hans Niemann, look what happened.
What?
G4 on the board.
Really?
Yes. And
No
I
way.
guess Pranav has also gone for the same move, G4, and that's why they were laughing. That's why they shared
Ah.
that laugh, because they saw that move on that board, and Nihal instantly knew
And
that's
look
the
at Hans.
going to
He's
play.
also smiling. अरे क्या चल
Respect.
रहा है हम भी हंसते हैं.
And you saw that expression, huh? Respect. Oh. I think that just, there was this funny situation in standard chess, though, in a tournament, FIDE Grand Swiss uh, 2019, where two boards were placed next to each other. One of them was Shirov's board, I remember clearly. The other one was a Chinese player, grandmaster. Not sure who it was, whether it was Ding Liren or someone else, but a very strong Chinese grandmaster, 2700. And they both played the same exact moves until move 15 or 16. It was the four knights defense opening in the Sicilian, which is a very sharp opening. I think the first, I think one of those games was Karyakin Shirov, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was between a Chinese player. And then at some point, the arbiter came and moved one of their boards somewhere else because the arbiter was like, "You're likely to copy from each other, 15-16 move same कर लिए हैं." तो अभी
They
थोड़ा कंसर्न
separated
हो
him,
गया
yeah?
था. हाँ, दोनों
Like,
बोर्ड्स को सेपरेट कर दिया. तो विल सी. यहाँ पे
but
तो वो क्या.
actually,
हाँ.
copying in freestyle can backfire because if you remember, I was actually of the opinion, like
Hmm.
this was a variation we already discussed in the first few seconds. I
Hmm.
said that fg4 queen g4 followed by knight c6 would give black a good position,
Hmm.
and I stand by this statement actually,
Hmm.
even though Maxim and Pranav both have made this move. Because Soumya, if you play a move like, let's say, just to illustrate, how can I show it?
Yeah.
Like bishop d2,
Okay.
for example, suddenly you are in big trouble because guys, black to play. Maybe we don't have many people, but if anyone can find it, that would be very impressive. Soumya, did you find it?
Ah, I tried one move which is a big blunder. So that move doesn't work. I'll show it later.
Yes.
Mm,
It's unusual.
trying to find it.
It's unusual, Soumya, but you will see it. You will spot it.
Mhm.
Guys, it is the move queen to d5.
But queen
Oopsie.
d5, I thought is a blunder, Harshit. Oh, I reverse blundered, is it? No. I also thought it's queen d5, Harshit,
Ah, but it's not working.
because I thought if, okay, I know what you mean. I think you want to play queen g7 and then rook g8, and then you want to, maybe, and then you want to say
Ah,
that my rook
knight
is hanging.
c3. Oh, that's a very easy move to miss. Knight to c3. Oof.
Okay,
Ah,
my
this
line
is
was,
what I missed.
I have missed something else, but yes. Okay, let's see this line. Knight c3. If the queen moves away, let's say to,
And now you can simply move your queen because the rook on h1 is no longer on pre. And wow. So such crazy complications, and Hans does take the pawn on g4. So let's just backdrop a little bit here. fg4, queen g4, knight c6, bishop d2. Um,
I wanted to try the move e4 here. That doesn't work, is it?
e4.
My idea was queen d4 can be met with bishop c3.
Yes, fantastic, fantastic spot, Soumya. This is also very good for white. So maybe queen d5 is too much. I don't think I should be greedy, but let me just go with my initial idea of going d6.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea to play d6 and e5, this whole
Yeah.
concept that you showed us. It works really well. And actually, my queen doesn't have good squares to go to
And
either.
if queen e4, bishop e6, okay, e5 first, I think somehow e5 looks strange, but I think it's important to do it. E5 or knight d7, knight f6, one of these two moves. Knight d7, knight f6 also very cool idea.
Preventing d5. D5 will be met with knight to f6 and we attack the queen and attack the pawn. Very sharp, Harshit.
Yeah,
कॉफी पीने का कुछ तो फायदा है.
it's tea.
It's tea, huh?
No,
Okay.
no caffeine.
टी में भी कैफीन होता है, but less caffeine. Yeah. Green tea and all, maybe, huh?
Check what Magnus played, they are saying, by the way.
Okay,
Oh,
we will go to Magnus's game. I just want to check if they made any moves here, Pranav
fg4
or
खेला actually,
Hans.
Hans ने.
Okay.
So now Nihal oh, he did not take. Nihal just goes d5 instead. Nihal is like, I'm not going to capture your pawn and allow your queen to develop. And he deviates. And maybe this is smart because if Nihal took on g4, it would have been very easy for Pranav to make the next move because he would have just waited for MVL to make his move.
Also, Harshit, I got the greatest compliment ever on the chat just now. Can I please read it out?
Yes, please, Soumya.
Mridul Jain says Soumya sharing stories like our dadi is great. Oh my god, it's like the best compliment ever. Thank you, Mridul. I'm reminded of my grandmom used to tell me so many wonderful stories. Thank you. So let's go to Magnus's board.
Yeah, and they have gone for something slightly unusual for my for my understanding, but I think it has a point. The point is that White wants to go e4 next.
Okay, so we'll just go from the beginning. D4, black replied D5. So he
And
didn't deviate much. F3 and F6. And now you're saying E4, right, Harshit?
yeah, I thought that was the idea for playing f3 to support our advance with e4. And yes, Vincent makes that move confidently.
This is, this is a completely different setup. I've never seen a pawn E4, D4, F3 setup uh, as the first three moves in my life, actually. Have you ever seen an opening like this, Harshit? In standard chess?
No, in standard, no. In standard chess, and maybe in Karo Khan, sometimes this can happen.
Ah,
Um,
Karo Khan, the first three moves are E4. Yeah, very sharp there. Karo Khan, D4, D5, and there is a variation with F3. Obviously, the pieces are where they usually are in standard chess, but this is a pretty popular way to play.
yeah,
Very rare though.
he goes e4 here, Magnus, and I think he's trying to see if he can copy Vincent. That would be question number one. If he can go for something like e5 immediately, that's a question. The other question would be,
Farooq sir has taught us first calculate captures. So my first move here is pawn takes e4. Is it a decent move to play here, Harshit? Pawn takes
yeah,
pawn.
I was not considering this seriously because it opens up the bishop on d1, and
Mm,
then suddenly also white can throw in bishop h5 check, force black to go g6 and drop back to f3.
mm. This is a very good point. So when I capture on e4, I not only give up the center without keeping it fluid, I also open up your bishop on d1.
Yes,
So I should avoid doing that. E4 के लिए कुछ और खेलना चाहिए. Maybe C6.
yes, he plays it
Oh, he
as
played.
as you were saying it, or maybe he's about to play it. Yes, he
Oh,
goes for c6. Wow. And Magnus gets up because guess what? Nordirbeck and Nepo. And look at them laughing. Look at them laughing. This is
oh my God.
freestyle.
Guys, this is not Vincent versus Magnus that we are following anymore. This is Nodirbek versus Nepo. The names have changed, but not the position. Exact same moves on their board. So board 1 और 2 पे same position है. Board 3 और बोर्ड 5 पे अभी चेंज हो गई है, लेकिन दो मूव पहले तक सेम पोजीशन थी. एंड बोर्ड 4 पे क्या हो रहा है? बोर्ड 4 पे एक ही मूव खेली गई है अब तक.
Yeah. So I think Leon's game is the most unique in terms of the opening. And Leon is trying to find a creative way to play here. By the way, if you go to Hans's game, Soumya, you can kind of notice this move knight c6 has happened. And then after knight c6, c3 has been played by Maxim. And somehow now because of the pawn on c3, it also takes away the square of my knight on b1. And I'm not very convinced that this idea that the g4 move, that Pranav and Maxim both played was accurate. Let's try to go d6 now. And we are developing our piece with a tempo. That's usually a good idea. But
Queen
look,
G2.
now queen g2, and somehow the engine gives a significant oh, bishop b3.
Yes, these two things
Aha.
are threatened. Bishop b3 and bishop a4. So bishop e6 might be met with bishop a4 because bishop d5, I think we have e4.
e4.
And
And this
any
looks
other?
very good for white.
So in fact, c3 does take away the square from your knight, but gives you room to maneuver your bishop outside and create direct threats.
So then I have to ask you whether I can play d5 instead.
D5. D5, yeah, D5 looks super decent. It does take away the square on D5 from your queen.
And if queen g2 now, the same move like you made before,
Oh,
I
G.
was planning to go bishop e6. No, bishop e6, then how will my d8 bishop develop? No,
And maybe
can't do
E4
that.
now for
Yeah,
bishop E6. And
yeah.
suddenly it's a bit unpleasant.
Yeah, so I cannot go bishop e6. So maybe bishop f5? But this is not so easy. Uh-huh. So I guess the point is that bishop f5 might run into
Knight
some knight
G3
g3
maybe.
move. Yeah, well spotted there. And white develops with the tempo. So bishop d7 पे निकालना पड़ेगा यार हमें unfortunately.
Cha, bishop D7. Yeah, maybe bishop की मूव ही नहीं है हर्षित. Maybe E5. Oh, yeah, not bad. E5. Because
Mhm.
we want to give good squares for our pieces. We want to
Pieces.
create some room. So
Mhm.
this seems okay. Like pawn takes, maybe knight takes, and bishop a4 check can be met with c6. This seems okay.
Yeah, this seems okay. So, by the way, so this was a similar opening that was also in Pranav versus Nihal.
Okay, let's go.
And I have a question in that game. I think Nihal he played f5, but gf5, bishop f5, knight g3, bishop g6 खेला. And now h4 भी tempo के साथ आ सकता है यार. Like queen g2, this looks quite good for white.
So the difference between the position we were analyzing and this one is our queen was on g2 and the knight was on c6 and
Yes.
pawn was on c3. थोड़ा differences है actually क्योंकि pawn c3 पे रहने से bishop फटाफट बाहर आ रहा है पर यहाँ पर white को एक दो मूव करने पड़ेंगे. So I like that he did not take, the concept you keep explaining, ki don't, when you want to exchange something, maybe it's better if you allow your opponent to exchange so that you can exchange it on your terms. You develop a piece while exchanging the other one. So pawn takes, now your bishop came out. है ना?
Yeah, the bishop came out, but then the knight attacks it with a tempo.
Now you want to look at h4, right?
H4 is an option that comes to my mind. Instead of H4, the other move that also comes to my mind is just something like Queen G2 to threaten C4.
Aha, c4 because the bishop has moved away from c8. So the b7 pawn is defenseless. C4, a very creative idea here.
So, by the way, can I go C4 immediately? Now that um, we understood what we want to do. And then if DC4, we go Queen G2.
Maybe e4. Okay, queen g2 first.
Oh, by the way, look at MVL's reaction. 1 second. To just quickly go there, MVL is very unhappy. He missed something.
Okay, let's go. MVL Hans, he missed e5. He doesn't like e5.
Like, it felt like he was very surprised by this move. from his reactions. Pawn to e5 played by Hans, which was one of the best moves. And if you see MVL's expressions, he was surprised by this. If D, I guess now Hans wants to go something like D6 or D5, yeah? Wow, what a creative way to play.
Or maybe
D5, I think, because yeah.
and you're attacking the queen, so you can't opposite. You don't have time for that.
If queen G3, then knight G6 and bishop H4 might jump.
I oof. Bishop H4, a dangerous tactic here.
Out
Knight
of nowhere.
completely out of nowhere. No, this is what happens when you make moves like G4 in the opening. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, you know. You're taking a huge risk and now you need to deal with the consequences. So unless you're ready to deal with that, you play something quiet. But MVL always goes for the risk. You know, he's a lifelong Night-Off player, a lifelong Grunfeld player. He loves dynamic positions. And I remember watching one interview of his, and he said his main quality is that he never gives up. So
Mhm.
C3, E5, I think we are going to see a big fight now on the board.
Yeah,
And I also
E5.
really like the move E5. Just one thing I wanted to highlight, Harshit, is that after D5, Queen G2, if black doesn't get E5 on time, this is actually a very bad structure for black, the pawn
Right.
structure. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to get E5 on time in case white manages to stop it with bishop F4 or imagine a knight on D3, just as an example. Then black will be saddled with an backward pawn on E7. So this is not what we want as black. That's why I like the move E5 so much, because you just deal with the problem of the E pawn immediately.
Immediate reaction, immediate activity, and Hans goes for e5, has a good position here. Let's also take a look at the development on the top board between Vincent and Magnus to see if they have made any moves yet. And
Yes, they have. There has been one move actually, C3 and Queen F7, Harshit.
so maybe Black is preparing to move his knight and castle shot. And look at
Yeah.
the silence that exists in the playing hall there. Pin drop silence as the players are trying to find some creative ideas in this freestyle chess format. 3,500 players playing in this tournament in Grenke. What will Vincent play here? He can go Queen F2 simply and basically tell Magnus that, hey, if you want to castle shot, I'll castle shot too, and I'll be a tempi up.
I mean, you have the center as well with white. I think, okay, knight G6 already the computer doesn't like. I think E5 maybe. Just playing the same as white.
This is some bathtub structure, no? Some X-Man structure.
What?
Like,
Have you just named the structure? आज ही नामकरण हुआ है स्ट्रक्चर का हमारी स्ट्रीम पर. Yeah, we can
wow.
call it X-Men actually.
Right? Yeah, it feels like the
X-Men
whole
structure.
X-Men structure. But it seems like whoever breaks this will be the one paying the price.
Why did you call it a bathtub? From which angle is it a bathtub?
From C3, D4, E4, F3, like this.
Ah, this one. Okay, okay, okay. Small bathtub.
Yeah. Lol, if a4 h4 comes, that will be funny. Yeah. Guys, this is serious chess happening. The players are not trying to make some geometry over the board, but somehow coincidentally this position came, and I was trying to say that like whoever breaks this, like after e5, if
Mhm.
white takes on e5, then I
Okay.
think that it would favor black. So we kind of want to keep this tension. At
Mhm.
least that's the feeling I get. Like a move like bishop b3 perhaps might be quite decent to try and keep the pressure on this diagonal.
Yeah, I think we are going to see some unusual ideas in this game because the pieces are being developed. I mean, the pawn structure, as we keep mentioning, Harshit, is super unusual than most of
Mhm.
the games we have seen so far. And that's why we are going to see some creative ideas here. Bishop b3, a nice move. ये नाइट को कहाँ निकालेंगे हम? नाइट a3, नाइट c2 में भी. I don't understand where to go with this knight.
Yeah, and also instead of bishop b3, mm, what happens if I take on d5? cd, right? Yeah. And then you, I guess, can develop your
Oh,
knight to c6.
oh, you can actually give me hanging pawns after e takes, c takes and play against hanging pawns in the center. That
Yeah.
is the choice.
But I feel with my pawns on f3 and c3, I've really created some weaknesses
Mm-hmm.
like the d3 square. And I think this will be giving away too much control of the position.
Hmm.
So maybe you don't want to give away both your central pawns.
Interesting. We have choices.
Wow.
See what white does. Queen f2.
Yeah, he plays it. He plays this simple move, queen to f2, and asks Magnus if he wants to go e5 and repeat, or if he has another unusual idea prepared. By the way, look at what Nihal played. Wow. Nihal goes for something super sharp, ultra aggressive.
Nihal has been choosing the most aggressive lines in this tournament. Harshit b4 in one of his games, and this idea to challenge white's center immediately.
And I think the best move here is knight c3, so that dc4 can be met with d5.
d3. Idea dc can be met with d5. And black has a double pawn. It's a good idea, and you can also play e4 next. Let's see. I just want to understand what's happening. If I take the pawn on d5, you can take with the queen, and I don't have e4 anymore because your bishop is very well placed on g6.
Mhm.
So I dislike this continuation. C5 ko, what if I take on c5 here? You will take my pawn on c4, right?
I might even consider d4.
d4.
And black
g2 will be met with knight to c6.
black is quite fine to sacrifice a pawn. c4 pawn is also hanging after d4, so have to be careful to not allow something like knight queen takes c4.
Mhm.
And black wants bishop a5 check and long castle is next. So c5 is a very interesting approach by Nihal, but I think knight c3 is quite a decent move here.
Okay. And what if I take the pawn on d4, Harshit?
Then
Most
knight
straightforward.
d5.
Knight d5. What is your threat? Bishop a4. Okay. And I play knight c6. Okay, let's see what's happening.
Yeah, bishop d2 maybe.
I should have given a check. क्या नहीं, check को b4 आता, correct. So you prevented that.
Okay, I guess it's not as if white has a clear advantage. So still a very playable position.
Yeah, maybe e6 would have been better because then I would have got a check on a5.
Mm-hmm.
Now I
Then I wanted
realize.
knight f4, knight d3.
We'll move, right?
Yeah, king f1.
We'll go knight to d3. I'll save my
And
bishop.
now b4.
Ah, not okay, directly.
Mm-hmm. This
7.
should be really good for white. Bishop a4 and queen g2. Yeah.
Oh, this looks good.
Okay, so c4, c5. Yeah, I mean, Nihal is trying something concrete, but I
Hmm.
do think that he is not developed enough to make something like c5 work. We can also start with bishop a4 check immediately, which really avoids a lot of the variations.
Which one? Here,
Bishop
bishop
a4 check.
a4. Right. And knight c6 will be
cd.
played. Huh?
cd.
cd, queen d5 is forced.
Knight c3.
But d4 is hanging.
Bishop e3.
Queen b4.
And just some move like queen g2 or long castle.
Long castle.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think white is again doing really well.
You don't care about the knight coming to c4, huh? It's not a good move, but I don't understand why.
Queen g2, queen d5, for example. But yeah, I
Hmm.
think in general,
Hmm.
I think that black is not very a3 first would have been fine. And then
Hmm.
in general, I think black doesn't have enough activity. So that's why Nihal is trying something forcing. Let's see if Pranav goes for this knight c3 move.
Hmm. Okay, we'll see. Knight c3.
It seems like a
Not
very
yet.
decent move to me.
Okay.
Or
And
bishop
what
a4
about
check.
bishop a4 or knight c3 are our options?
Yeah.
Uh, let's see what happened in
Magnus.
Vincent's game. Yeah. He chose e5, Magnus.
Okay.
Excuse me. e5 and white played bishop e3. What were we looking at, Harshit, after e5?
Not bishop e3. We were looking at something like bishop b3 or bishop c2.
Yeah, maybe bishop b3 was our choice. Bishop e3 on the board maybe played against the idea of bishop b6.
Mayur has a question. Soumya and Harshit, what is your most favorite opening and least favorite opening? Okay, I think I'll go. My favorite is Sicilian Najdorf, and my least favorite is King's Indian.
Okay, I'm thinking. Okay, my least favorite is Karo Khan, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not like I dislike it, but it's my least favorite. And my most favorite would be a toss up between Sicilian or King's Indian. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
King's Indian. Because I used to play it, yeah, maybe King's Indian. I really like it actually. But Sicilian also I love. Like it depends on white what white plays. E4 खेला तो Sicilian or D4 खेला तो King's Indian.
And now after bishop e3, actually, what move did he play?
ED4
ED? CD?
नहीं खेला अब तक.
Oh, okay, okay.
But CD ही मारेगा.
Yeah, he
हाँ,
took
yes, he
CD.
has taken, yes. So I think Magnus is going to go and play takes. That's what I feel. Or maybe he'll give a check first and then take on E4.
Does this concept of f5 exist at some point? Oh, he goes for it.
F5.
Wow. Wow. I will pat myself in the back. f5 played by Magnus. And now my idea was that if you go e5, I want to go f4.
Oh, so you're not giving me a chance to create a pawn chain with f4, but you'll go f4 yourself. Awesome.
Yeah. And then knight e6. This looks really good for black suddenly.
Yeah, my d4 pawn is a huge weakness now. Bishop b6 coming in. Ideas like c5 coming in. This is f5 is super strong, Harshit. Well
Yeah,
done.
f5 played by Magnus. And yes, we are moving the same pawn twice in the opening, but the upside of getting control of the light squares is superior than a tempo, than losing a tempo.
F5 and actually white's choices are very tough here, Harshit, because if I play e5, you get f4, which is excellent.
Yes,
If I take on d5, you'll probably take with the queen. And
absolutely. Lee, but
I,
bishop
apparently
b3.
not a good idea. But I mean, I thought this was the main point that white
ed5,
gets
you can start with
isolated.
f4.
Oh, you start with f4. I see. Oh my God, my pieces are so cramped suddenly once you get up.
Yeah. And then cd5, and now everything starts to make sense.
So that's why f5 a very strong move. It's not easy to face. If I take the pawn on f5, I let you develop a bishop with tempo, and obviously black's maybe it's not that obvious, but black's pawn structure is better than white here because black has an open file, half open file on the f file here, where and I guess later you can go for b6 e5 in the endgame also.
I think in general, whenever we exchange, I mean, the dark squared bishops, the d4 pawn is always going to be a big problem for white because there is no other pawn which can protect it. And I feel like the pawn on d4 is kind of weak. Also, the pawn on f3 looks a little. Oh, by the way, he takes on f5, and we are going to see this. No, 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 sorry, he takes on f5. Okay. So now I guess black's. Yeah, this is what we were discussing, right? Sorry. Um, and now black just is going to take back with the bishop. And then I guess he will go knight e6, and black has a very pleasant position.
Yes, he can develop his position very easily now after this move f5. Earlier he had these problems, right? कहाँ लेके जाएंगे pieces को, कौन से correct squares है? अभी वो squares आसानी से मिल गए f5 के बाद.
So I think Magnus is going to be extremely happy with this result of the opening because some in some positions it's very hard to play for a win with black, but here we already have such a big imbalance that Magnus must be feeling optimistic about his chances.
Hmm. You want to go and have a look at Hans's position?
Yes, let's do it.
So, what happened there? E5 was played, pawn takes e5, d6 happened, queen to g2, and Hans took back with the pawn, which is weird. I thought he's going to take with the if you take with the knight, bishop b3.
Yeah, I think he should have gone d5. D6 was an inaccuracy by Hans.
Hmm. Yeah,
D5 would have been really nice as we saw.
so d6 allows white to play bishop b3 at an opportune moment. Queen d2, pawn takes, rook g1. Oof, rook g1, Harshit.
Wow, that's surprising, Soumya, but it makes sense. He wants to ask black how he wants to defend the pawn on g7. And what did black respond?
Not yet. No response yet.
Yeah. Mhm.
Actually,
Hans needs to recover psychologically after making that blunder in the last round. He
hmm.
just dropped an exchange in a completely equal position. And more than the position on the board right now, he needs to face himself psychologically.
Yeah, that's always tough actually. But yeah, that's always tough to be honest, to recover from such a bad blunder. We see Nodirbek on the screen, so maybe we can go and have a look at his game. अरे बहुत सारे मूव्स हो गए यहाँ पर तो लेट्स गो बैक इन द ओपनिंग d4 d5 f3 f6 e4 c6 very similar to Vincent versus Magnus. Queen f2 queen f7 knight g3 and e5 on the board c3. And because the knight is on g3, you don't have this idea of f5 anymore after taking on
Mhm.
d4. So bishop e3 की जगह knight g3 was the move perhaps, Harshit. In
Was the better
Vincent's
move.
game.
Yeah.
And then knight g6, castle, castle, bishop to e3, bishop e6, knight to d2. Normal development. No, they are not taking any action in the center. They are keeping the tension alive so that they can decide whether to go for an exchange after they have developed their pieces. Knight d7, bishop c2, bishop c7, knight to e2. Acha, none of them, neither of them wants to take action in the center, but maybe now your idea of f5 could work because the knight has moved away, Harshit.
Yeah, F5 in general always seems like a good idea for black in this position. Magnus played it, and now Jan, I'm sure it helps. Look at this. He's looking at Magnus's board, and I think he sees that Magnus played F5, and after that, Nepo is like, maybe I should play F5 myself, and that's the best move.
F5 directly,
Yeah.
because if you take pawn takes, I guess I can take knight takes, and now your bishop will be taken by my knight if you open up the position too much. So knight e2 f5 immediately. So maybe knight e2 a small inaccuracy, right? You want to keep the knight on g3, but then black comes in with knight f4.
So what was black's last move instead of F5? Sorry, Bishop C7, yeah?
Huh, because knight is still on g3, so you can't play f5, no?
Yeah.
And white went back knight e2 here, so this allows black to consider f5.
But what if black goes back knight E7? Then can white play F4?
Yeah, I guess so.
हाँ.
Look at this position, Harshit.
अरे थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया.
मार देंगे ना? नहीं, f5 को क्या करेंगे?
I
ef
mean,
मार सकते हैं ना?
just
या
FE, no?
fe, fe.
Okay, I think this is like never happening. So
Maybe ef is decent because I mean I'll pick up the bishop before you pick up your mine, and so after bishop takes uh whatever knight takes, I can take on f5, and this is good only.
yeah.
Knight e2.
By the way, also Sashikiran is on 5 out of 6. So we have like around 3 to 4 players with 5 out of 6. This is quite decent performance by the Indian players so far until
And
round 6. And Sashikiran also goes for this bathtub structure and with Queen F2 Knight G3 now.
yeah, Shashi. Yeah, So how does it work, Harshit? Like everyone can see the board, or only the players near the stage can see the board? Because the players who must be sitting far away might not be able to view it clearly, right?
It's a very big screen, Soumya. It's a tremendously big screen. So I think almost everyone can see it.
So everyone can see that Magnus went for this FI idea, and maybe that gives you some hints on how to approach this position
Yeah.
yourself.
Actually, I think they should do something about this because I don't think that it should be allowed for the players to look at the other boards because it influences their brain too much and it gives them information outside of what should be provided.
Yeah, I agree. At some point, one of the top GMs is going to object to this. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Waiting for that day.
Yeah. I can object, but I'm not a top GM, so
No, but if you play, then you can definitely give them that idea. That's
yeah.
the, yeah, that's always a good thing to give feedback to the organizers.
So
Night G.
Sashi played knight g3. He's doing well,
Mhm,
Soumya.
mhm.
And we'll come back to his game against Yakuboev. Nihal versus Pranav doesn't really have any moves. The other games are also moving quite slowly in this round. So maybe we can go to Magnus and Vincent because this game, honestly, even if not many moves have happened, I think it makes sense to stick with this game. I mean, it's undeniably the best player in the world against the tournament leader. So I think we need to keep our eyes on this one.
Agreed. So F5 was met with E takes F5, bishop takes F5, and knight to C3. Okay then. So Harshit has already pointed out that the pawn on d4 is a weakness in white's position because it's isolated, which
Mhm.
means the bishop on e3 is also restricted because it needs to keep defending the pawn on d4, right?
Yeah.
What else can we understand? We want to bring our knight to
H5
e6.
is typical in these kind of positions
H5.
to very often gain space and also stop white's expansion with g4. So h5, h4 is a very typical idea. As you said on the queen side, a5, a4 or a5, b5 is another way to. But the biggest question is where will the black king go? And I think it's clear the black king will go to the short side. Well, maybe it's not so clear actually.
Yeah, it wasn't clear to me, but maybe it is to you. I wasn't I was hesitant actually. But
Hmm.
actually, I think a bigger question is where is white going to develop his pieces? Because h5, h4 looks super cramping.
Yeah.
My knight on f1, it really wants to come to g3, but as soon as you make the move h5, let's say it's black's turn to move, so h5, knight g3, I'll move my bishop back to g6. And now I mean, I need to worry about h4 once again because I need to then move my knight. So, do I play h4 myself? Do I allow you to play h4 and go knight e2? It's white who needs to take those decisions here.
Yeah. Right. And now Magnus is on his second deep think. I think he thought a lot in the first few moves. He kind of figured out his way, and now he's going to think again to blitz out the next few moves.
Also, just to point out, the ideal squares for our knights in case of white is d3. You want to put your knight to d3 in order to jump to e5 or c5 because the d4 pawn controls these two squares. While for black, the ideal squares would be d6, perhaps. One of the ideal squares at least, because then it can jump to c4, it can jump to f5, put pressure on the d4 pawn. So if we could get our knights to d3 as white and d6 as black, we would be very happy. But that's a long way away because of the knight being on f1 and f8.
Yeah. So these are some of the ways which you can remember to understand where to place our pieces. Magnus's next move, according to me, is going to be knight a6, maybe.
Knight a6, not h5.
Maybe knight
Acha,
a6.
let's see where he is looking at.
Yeah,
He's looking on the king's side, Harshit.
yeah. Maybe we can just go full screen. I'll just take a 2 minute break and I'll be right back.
Mhm.
And if you want, we can keep full screen as well and we can come back. So guys, we'll just go full screen on Magnus's board here and we'll just be back in 2 minutes.
I think
If
producer G
if it's
is not
possible.
here.
If it's possible. Can we go full screen by just for a few minutes and then me and Soumya will just be right back. Thank you. And guys, we are back for round number 7 and to follow this exciting clash between Vincent and Magnus. Vincent did allow Black to get this nice f5 break, but now it seems like Black's last move, knight a6 by Magnus, is a small mistake. And I think now Vincent has the opportunity to go knight g3 and then to get f4 and f5. And look at Vincent, he's super surprised by this. He's like, Magnus, where is your knight on a6 going? Guys, we are back. And people think Magnus should win this, but I'm not so sure because knight g3 and f4, f5, if white successfully gets to push his pawn to f5, I think white is in a really good shape. You can see Vincent just kind of making sure that this move works. Looking so sharp there, Vincent. Always well dressed. Kind of is like this. He has this like old school, style of fashion. I really like it. And here you can see Magnus completely zoned in. Man, Magnus knows the importance of this game. The winner of this game, very likely. I mean, if Vincent wins this game, he's very likely going to become the champion. And Magnus knows he needs to stop him.
Wow. So we have knight a6 on the board, Harshit.
Yeah, knight a6 is super surprising, Soumya, because I thought it allows knight g3 and then f4, f5.
Oh, that's why h5 was important.
Yeah,
So h5, knight g3, bishop g6, f4, and we have h4 here. Whereas knight c3, knight a6 के बाद, knight g3, bishop g6, f4. We are not on time with h4.
we are
Very
not because
well.
h5, f5.
Yeah. But can we still go for this or is it? Yeah,
I
but
mean,
white will be in the driver's seat. I mean, with double bishop.
exactly.
Magnus would love to play this position with white instead.
Magnus played this inferior move maybe on purpose to change the game complexion. But guys, game complexion though, it was going on in his favor, no? Like if he had played h5, already there is a change in pawn structure. So there is some imbalance. And after h5, h4, he kind of locks down the pawn on g2 and f3. And I think this would have been a really strong idea. So for the first time, you know, if I can say in this entire event, Magnus makes a move that I'm super surprised by. Because generally, Magnus doesn't really miss this. So maybe he has some deep idea. Let's try to understand. Knight g3, knight a6 is like very logical. I mean, you develop by attacking your opponent's bishop. Where does the bishop go somewhere? d7 looks logical.
Bishop d3 is also a possibility. I know it's stupid, but inducing queen d2. Does that make any sense?
But what if I just go f4 and ignore it?
Oh, Harshit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's complete one line and then go to the other. But I just spotted knight b4 as a trick and short castle and then bishop d3 with the tempo. So knight b4 maybe.
But knight f5?
Oof. Yes, counter trick हो जाएगा क्या? Knight takes.
Knight
Knight check,
d3
sorry.
and king d2, queen f5. Yeah, I shouldn't allow this.
I'm not sure actually. Is it working? Maybe let's see the line till the end because
रुक मर रहा है.
अच्छा, बहुत ज्यादा मटेरियल चला गया, एक्सचेंज डाउन हो गए हम इन दिस होल tactical idea. So maybe knight b4 is the idea, Harshit.
But just castles.
Yeah, castle, and now I want to go bishop to
But
d3.
rook e1, yeah, and suddenly this discovered
Oh,
check can be annoying.
oof, oof, oof. And bishop e7 will be met with bishop g5. So I must go knight e6.
Yeah, but already it's clear white is doing well. So I think knight g3 is the move for for Vincent to play.
Yes. He hasn't yet made his move.
But this is the move Vincent needs to play, guys. And after this, the reason why we like it is, let's say bishop goes back to d7, we push f4, f5.
So you think he'll go back to d7 or to g6?
Yeah, that's possible, Wonderkid, actually. Sometimes Magnus does, make these decisions to keep the game complex. So it's quite possible. And also it's possible that he saw some tactical idea which we have not. And yes, knight g3 played by Vincent. Vincent Keimer is very much in shape here. He's 6 out of 6. I mean, he hasn't even dropped half a point here with more than 3000 rating performance. Vincent Keimer is completely zoned in. He goes knight g3. Let's see what Magnus has in mind. I'm very curious what Magnus calculated here, because for me, it feels like knight g3 and white is just doing really well.
Harshit, do you have a feeling that Magnus is a little too tired in this event?
Soumya, this tournament is actually really tough because the players are playing 2 rounds every day. And if, let's say, you start a game at 10 a.m. and then you finish your game at 2:30 p.m., which is very normal, you play for 4.5 hours, and then you go have lunch, and then by the time you go to your room, it's already time to come back to the round.
Hmm. But
So,
Magnus did win the event last year. Maybe becoming a father does take a toll on your sleep and energy levels.
yeah,
Something to
and
consider.
also, we need to psychologically recover. There is some sort of like a runner's high in chess as well. When you finish a game, you are in some sort of a high. You kind of process the entire game internally, and it does take some time for you to recover from the game, whether you won or whether you lost.
Hmm.
It takes a while for you to internalize the result.
Hmm.
But guys, that's why, these guys are warriors. And that's why we are following this event, because it's brutal and yet they are performing at such a high level. Fantastic.
Very good points there, Harshit. There's physically as well as mental drain on the players thanks to the schedule. It still seems to be, maybe I need to follow more of Magnus's tournaments live, but it still seems to be that Magnus is a bit tired in this event. He seems to have taken much more time than he usually does in his games as well. And knight g3, not a move he was prepared for. Otherwise, he would have answered it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious if he wants to give away that bishop, but that just seems really, really risky. Because if you play a move like bishop e7, just to show everyone, knight f5, queen f5, this is just huge for white, right? I mean, the engine doesn't say it's a big advantage, but for me, I feel like white is significantly better.
Yeah, and that's because the position is open and we have a pair of bishops. Usually, anyone would take white here. And that is the reason grandmasters don't easily part with their bishops so early into the game, especially in an open position. The upside to exchanging this bishop, the only upside that I see is that the bishop the pawn structure is on light squares for black in the center, and the bishop is also a light squared bishop. So maybe Magnus feels it's okay to part with it as long as I complete my development fast and attack the pawn on d4 instead with my pieces later with knight to e6 and bishop f6. But yes,
So I think that if black can exchange the light squared bishop for white's light squared bishop, I think that that would be a very favorable trade for black, because then white's bishop on e3 would be. Oh, by the way, नॉर्डनबर्ग्स गेम में कुछ तो ब्लंडर हुआ.
नहीं इक्वली चल रहा है.
Look at the bar.
नहीं
Ah, okay, okay. It was
ठीक.
red, but okay, maybe there was some. Yeah, maybe there was some error because for 1 second it went completely red. But okay, it's just equal.
But it's good
Um,
that you brought us to this game, Harshit, because he did not go for f5 here, Nepo. He went for knight to f4,
mhm.
rook a e1, knight takes, queen takes, and this is the life position on the board. So no f5, f4 from either side so far.
Yeah, and it's crazy that I mean, I guess this position is just equal, right? Because we have symmetry, but at some point someone will break this symmetry. Someone will either take on d4 or e4 as black, or white might take on e5 or d5. And Nepo is calculating all of these options. But Soumya, I mean, I think Magnus's board is really critical here because knight g3, and I really want to know what Magnus wants to do because
Okay, let's see all the options here. We saw knight to b4. We saw knight b4 short castle, and we
Mhm.
are not very convinced with this variation. So let's see some other move instead of knight b4. Bishop to d7, you were mentioning. Bishop d7.
Yeah, and then f4, I thought.
F4. Bishop h5 could be a move at some
Yeah.
point. I need to be careful. Once you play
Mhm.
f5, you are threatening bishop h5 as well.
But Tom,
Oh no.
let's not forget that Magnus is the freestyle world champion right now. And Vincent has won the event in White House before, but currently Magnus Carlsen is the world champion in this format.
Yes, but world champions can also lose. There is no such rule that you cannot defeat the world champion. Vincent does not look at Magnus's title, but at the game that he is playing. F4 के बाद शायद bishop h4 ऐसी एक move है. Oh,
Mhm.
finally I found something at least. And
Bishop f4. f5?
f5 maybe I could even go. Oh, f5 you're probably losing a pawn, Harshit.
Yes, exactly. Just bishop takes f5, I guess.
But yeah, that was a nice tactic because the
But now
knight
short
actually got
castles.
pinned.
Tricky, tricky.
Okay. Oh, bishop h5 now. Yeah, I have to be careful. I think I'll take with the queen. But then you take with the knight and I lose
Yeah, but then you're a pawn up here.
bishop
Queen
pair.
f5 is very good.
Yeah, but I didn't want to give my bishop pair, to be honest. I
अरे
wanted to
but
be
pawn मिल रहा है यार.
greedier and save it, but apparently doesn't work. So let's go queen takes, knight takes,
And
and
white, black is a pawn up. So f4, bishop h4 was a very nice resource somewhere that you found.
मजबूरी में लोगों को मूव ढूंढनी पड़ती है. f4,
Mm-hmm.
bishop h4. So what could be white's resource here? Bishop to c2 will be met with knight b4. Maybe castle.
Yeah, maybe castles to threaten f5, huh?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this idea. And Magnus has spent over 10 to 12 minutes in this position already, which kind of explains he was not ready for this f4 f5 maneuver.
Huh. Do you think he did not miss knight g3, but he missed f4, f5, and that's why he's now rethinking his choices? Hmm?
Yeah, I think so. And look, he's about to play a move bishop h4 immediately.
Immediately. Not bishop
Oh,
d7.
oh,
Makes a lot of sense.
it makes sense, Soumya. It makes sense. However, hmm, I'm trying to see what I can play here. Bishop b3 will be met with knight b4, I guess.
Bishop b3 you want to play? Acha. I mean, can you explain this move to me? Because I don't understand the idea. You want to go long castle?
Yeah, I wanted to go long castle, but Soumya, I had something super tricky in my mind, knight ce4. But um,
Oh.
it's maybe I'm maybe trying to fantasize ideas in this position. So bishop h4 played,
I think
and
it's cool that you're showing us these ideas, Harshit, because this is what chess is about. No, chess is not only about the moves that are played on the board, but the moves that come to our mind and that exist. You found something apparently.
I
What is
did,
it?
but Vincent found queen d2 and he plays it immediately. And look at Magnus. He's surprised by this because bishop g5 can be an idea now.
Ah, getting rid of the bad bishop.
Yeah, also just castles. He can even just castles first.
Maybe long castle is a move Magnus could be considering
But
taking
then
his king
short
away.
castle.
And now I move my bishop back and you still play f4.
Yeah, f4, bishop g4, f5. Look at Jan Christoph Duda behind uh, the camera there was looking at this game. And this is the close-up camera that we have of Magnus. Vincent has found a very nice move, queen to d2, and has taken the advantage against Magnus Carlsen in his hometown. He's playing on his home turf here in Grenke. The story of Vincent started when he had won this open tournament, Soumya, and he kind of proved to Germany how strong of a talent he is. And then he was trained by Peter Lecco, and he has now established himself as an absolute top player.
Exactly, putting so much pressure on Magnus. I have never seen him in this pose ever before, Harshit. He is so stressed. Magnus is so stressed at the moment. He looks angry at himself almost at having missed White's resource of knight g3, queen d2, castle, and f4.
Yeah.
Can you identify the photographer for us, Harshit, over
Yes,
there?
the photographer is Steve Bonhagel. He's actually a very, very nice photographer. He's uh, he's there in most of the major chess events, and he also has a book, I think, where he has a collection of some of his best chess photographs. It's great to see him in action there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this that he might have taken a lot of beautiful photos, but his best one might be the one he takes now.
Yeah, no, this event is going to give him a lot of content, especially because Magnus is playing and also Vincent is playing. We also have other super stars in this tournament, so a very good opportunity to get their pictures and to get pictures with them, guys. So if you did not come this year to the Grenke Chess Festival, do plan in your calendar if you can somehow make it here, because I think it's a very good experience and something you must experience being a chess fan. And now Magnus Carlsen has been put to the test by the young Vincent, and Vincent gets up from the chair. There is a nice lounge behind the players' zone there where they can sit. They have some food, fruits, some chocolates, and they can sit and kind of relax there.
Let us look at some options that Magnus has in this position to not feel as bad as he does right now. I'm almost feeling bad for him, Harshit. Like to see him
Mhm.
suffer. He looks like he's in agony right now.
Yeah, he's not happy with his position, Magnus. But is it that bad, Soumya?
I
Like,
think
if we were playing this position with black, हमको लगता है इक्वल ही है, खेलते हैं 96, चलो डालो.
yes, exactly. I think not understanding a few things about life really helps. And it helps in chess as well. क्वीन D2, चलो देखते हैं क्या हो रहा है. बिशप G6 पहले रूल आउट करते हैं. बिशप G6 को क्या हो रहा है? शॉर्ट castle, right?
Yeah, short castles.
Short castle. And if I go knight to D7,
Knight d7. Okay, bishop g5 now. Okay, I don't want to do that, I guess. I don't want to do that.
okay,
So f4, I'll continue with my plan.
F4 is
Oh,
looks
by the way, bishop g3. Do I have f5
oh,
or is it too much? No, too much. Yeah, too much.
could be
Just
the move.
simple chess at g. Yeah?
So where did I leave F4? Uh, Maybe here I need to find a decent move, which might be bishop G3 only.
At
What else?
g.
No, I don't like bishop G3 to be honest.
Yeah.
F4, queen E7.
No,
Uh,
but this looks really, it
Move.
feels like you're on
Yeah,
the verge of losing, you know?
yeah. It's like my house is about to collapse. My house of cards that I made so carefully. So not bishop G6. Let's go bishop D7 because maybe
Mhm.
a knight can come to E6, block the E file, and create some threats later on the D4 pawn.
Yeah, this knight a6 was such a like uncharacteristic move by Magnus. Okay, he goes, what? He takes on g3?
H5 on
Oh,
the board.
h5. Okay, okay, he was h5.
Actually, it's a very good move, Harshit. The eval bar hasn't moved at all after H5.
Wow,
Maybe
and
it's the
Vincent
best
is,
move.
yeah, Vincent is surprised by this. Pawn to h5.
Okay, then let's try and understand what is the point. Short castle will be played. Do we have bishop takes G3 and H4? No, right? This is not our idea. No, clearly not. So is it queen G6? Queen G6 pressurizing G3? But it's very concrete. Maybe this makes some sense. Bishop E5,
Bishop e5.
knight B4 maybe. Oh no,
Man,
knight
h5
B4.
was so resourceful by Magnus. He's, he's upset with himself and yet he finds the best move. How is this possible, Soumya? Yaar? Like, because when I'm upset with myself, I make a blunder generally.
Yeah, I feel like he has a switch in his brain. And whenever he's upset and he tells himself to focus hard, that switch actually switches on. And he can focus harder then, unlike us. There's a button in his brain that gets pushed every time he's upset.
But yeah, like I think you were saying, yeah, like we don't sometimes understand the problems that Magnus even thinks about, and that can be a blessing. And sometimes I wonder, yeah, like if we were just not exposed to so many things in our life would have been so much happier, right? Like we see so many things like on like this happens with me. I mean, with everyone, I mean, it happens to many people. Like, sometimes you see something on social media and you're like, it would be so nice to have it or something like this. And then for a few moments, you actually feel a bit like, uh, unhappy just
I
because you don't have something you didn't even know about. And then you
completely
see
agree.
it and then you're like, why don't I have it? But you're so right that sometimes not even knowing it, that can be actually a blessing.
I think, if you can know what are your priorities, like this is what has helped me. I'm also in the same lane है, ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं बोल रही हूँ तो मेरा सब sorted है, but what I've 2 3 priorities of ours are fixed, then rest of our life we need to keep it as simple as possible, not complicated.
Mhm.
uh, for example, for me, since my childhood, one of the things I was very clear about is my personal life needs to be very simple so that I can focus on chess.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I felt my emotions would be here and there all the time, and that has really helped me actually, because at least one side of my life I know that like I was with my husband for like 10 years before we got married, so I knew that this is the guy I'm going to be with, and that part was very sorted in my head. So
Hmm.
जो भी बाकी का स्ट्रेस है चेस का ही है, ऐसा ज्यादा कुछ कॉम्प्लिकेट करके नहीं रखा है. आई फील दैट रियली हेल्प्ड मी, and it still helps me even now when I get distracted about, oh, let's try this serum, let's say skincare serum, or let's I tried this dress, or let's go to this holiday destination which was never on my mind. I always tell myself, no, no, come back to the basics, come back to the basics.
That's so nice.
हो गया हमारा वैसे भी. Okay, 138 people got to know about our life
No, it
philosophy.
doesn't matter. I mean, it's very interesting, I think.
So, okay, let's come
Show the
back
live
to
position, please.
position.
Bhai. Knight G3 H5. This is the live position. And the reason why H5 was played, because now the white bishop on D1, I guess, cannot go to G4 or H5.
Oh, so you're also eliminating bishop h5 possibilities after f4. You don't
Yeah.
need to worry about them anymore. H5 is very strong, but it's so hard to understand this move.
But somewhere, can I go bishop G5 now that you have played H5? Because your dark squares are a bit weak. But engines को ये move भी पसंद नहीं है.
ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. We'll figure it out. What's happening? Bishop g5. Knight g6 तो move नहीं रहेगी, because you'll take, I take, and then you take my f5 bishop. So you are happy with that. Okay, let's take on g5. Is it too bold? Takes, and bishop to d3 I want to do, so that
King
I
D2.
prevent. I thought I'm preventing something here. King d2, queen g6 was my idea, but queen e3 and I lose my bishop.
Yes.
So king d2. Yeah. King
Men can
d2
only
96, Harshit. Maybe this is the key move here. 96, attacking the queen. And once you go back, I go back with my bishop to g6.
wow. Yeah, I mean I guess somehow Black's position started to make a lot of sense all of a sudden. So H5, you know, Magnus's moves ऐसे रहते हैं कि before Magnus makes his move, it feels as if, oh my god, Magnus is in so much trouble. And then once Magnus makes his move, it's like, wait a second, how do we actually get an advantage?
Hmm. Yeah, I also I felt the same. मुझे ऐसा उस गेम में स्पेशली लगा नुरमन और मैग्नस के गेम में कि
Hmm.
मेरे मन के अंदर की इवैल्यूएशन हर मुंह पे बदल रही थी. मुझे लग रहा था ओ नाउ नुरमन हैज अ चांस नाउ एंड मैग्नस वुड मेक अ मूव एंड आई वाज लाइक या मे बी नॉट. He's too strong and it's a pleasure to be able to watch him play, to be able to be of the generation where he is dominating and to be able to commentate on his games this way.
By the way, people are saying that when the rooks are on h8 and e8, this h5 idea is logical, but to play it at the perfect moment is not easy. We can always just play h4, h5 at a random point, but to play it at this precise moment is so difficult. By the way, what if castle, Soumya? That's one move. Did you consider this?
Castle
Short.
from white, yes. We
Yeah.
saw this. We were looking at bishop takes, pawn takes, and queen g6 ideas here, Harshit.
But okay, this looks more promising because bishop f4, bishop e5 मैं bishop को reroute कर सकता हूँ.
Hmm. And somehow this position is still okay for black. I'm also wondering how, but maybe knight b4. No, knight b4 is not the move. Maybe long castle.
But at least I feel like white is doing well here,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
compared to the last position where it was like maybe black can be better. I feel like here it's clear that white is still the one in control with his bishop pair advantage. So I think short castles, Soumya. Okay, so let's also not get too demotivated by the fact that black is Magnus. So let's try to find the best move, yeah? And I think it is castles.
Okay. Yeah, castle looks like a really good move, Harshit. You're getting out of the pin. You're ready to bring the rook to e1, asking black a lot of questions. Next move, you're ready to take on f5. इस पोजीशन में देख मुझे लग रहा है कि ये एटलीस्ट एज पर द इवाल बार बिशप टेक्स पॉन टेक्स क्वीन g6 तो ठीक है. डू यू थिंक ब्लैक हैज अ रिसोर्स हियर?
Oh, wow. If queen f7, Soumya, there is potentially knight takes d5, yeah?
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
And if cd5, there is bishop a4, and if king d8, there is queen a5 check, and suddenly white is winning. But actually, Vincent does not castle. He makes a different move. He makes
Knight
knight
to
e2.
e2. A bit
Hmm.
passive apparently. And cramped. Bishop was going to g4 and h5 in all our lines earlier. Just one move ago. And thanks to this move h5, white has even retreated the knight and blocked the bishop's path.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. Once I saw this move short castles, I was a big fan of it. And now suddenly knight c2. But let's see what Vincent has in his mind. I guess he did not want to double his pawns somewhere on g2 and g3.
Uh-huh. But yeah, maybe he wants to continue with the threat of knight g3, so that's why he goes knight to e2. He's still he's still doing all right. It's but it is a move that loses his small advantage that he had, the
Yeah.
positional advantage that Vincent had. Maybe we can ask our friend Stockfish what it thinks was the move. I'll just have a quick look. h5 castle was the best move here, Harshit.
Yes.
And castle bishop takes g3 is a move, but the best move is bishop to g6.
And if
Uh,
f4,
bit
and then
ridiculous.
bishop g3.
f4 and bishop g3, pawn takes, and bishop f5 back because now we have induced
But
f4.
instead of f4, I think knight c2 after bishop g6 was very powerful.
Mm. Yes,
This
you're
makes
right.
sense.
Because we've provoked bishop g6 and now we are ready to go to f4 with our knight.
Yeah. Soumya, Magnus recently started accepting a limited amount of students. He has 3 students so far.
Who are they?
So one is Alpha Zero, one is Stockfish, and the other one, it's
Other one is
undisclosed.
us.
Leela,
अलीला हमें भी प्लीज थोड़ा शरण दे दो.
please हमें भी सिखा दो भाई.
I just
Yes,
want to be a fly in the room, you know. I just want to see what his daily routine is. Like, क्या करते हैं आप चेस करते हैं तो? I've heard though, Harshit, like we had someone in Chola who is a friend of Magnus and has attended a camp with him. And we also had a couple of more coaches who have worked with him. And I've heard, like, the stories we heard was he doesn't really sit on the board. He doesn't really attend training camps. He just comes in, sees what's happening. He'll stand in a like on the side and just immediately find the right move. While other grandmasters, very strong grandmasters, have been thinking for a while on their boards, and he might look at chess for maximum like 1 hour in the day during his training camps, and the rest of the time he just is looking for people to play football with. This is the story I've heard. These could be just
ये
rumors.
यही
I don't
इतना
know.
आपने सब बोलने के बाद समय अभी तू बोलते हैं ना कि ये जो पता भी नहीं था वो चाहिए, अभी मुझे चाहिए, मुझे मैग्नस का दिमाग.
चाहिए अभी ये.
दिमाग मैग्नस का.
उसके बहुत रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज भी है हर्षित.
Yeah,
सिर्फ
true, true.
दिमाग मिलने से फिर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी लेनी पड़ेगी.
Yeah, true. By the way, we have some very nice comments in the chat.
हम्म.
People are saying that
There are aliens living amongst us, ऐसा लास्ट मैसेज है.
नहीं नहीं वो नहीं. He was saying that Hikaru said that it's so difficult to play continue even when you have the advantage because it affects the confidence as well. I guess he's talking about playing with Magnus.
हाँ. Yes, you're filled with self doubt, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think first of all we need to fight this self doubt and then go to the board. Like, no, I mean that is the only way to face him. If we keep doubting ourselves, then anyway वहां बैठ के ही हार जाएंगे ना हम मैग्नस के साथ.
Yeah, now Magnus is thinking which move to make. In general, chess should be an easy game. इतने इतु से तो स्क्वायर से सामने उसके सामने बेस्ट मूव है वो भी नहीं दिखता है अपने को. क्रेजी यार.
Okay, let's figure Harshit. Queen G6 कैसा लग रहा है आपको? Oh no, I hate it now that I've suggested it. Okay, let's explain why I don't like it. Queen G6, Knight E2 पे इसलिए आया है ताकि किसी दिन Knight F4 पे आ सके. Maybe over here Knight F4 is not a good move. Takes, and we at least win a pawn. So even this might be terrible. So
Yeah.
we have one. And bishop f2 even, like, why
Bishop
not?
f2, g4. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
And look
Oh,
at this. Magnus has a sip of some apple juice. And now he starts to think again. Magnus is going to play something like knight to e6 potentially to play
oh,
against bishop g5 and to also play against knight f4. That's my feeling.
oh. Knight e6.
Yes,
Preventing knight f4.
also doesn't work.
अरे ठीक है. We don't know why it doesn't work also, so it's okay. I won't be able to refute you. Okay, you play it. Knight e2. Uh,
सब में कुछ क्रेजी हो जाए यार, ये टूर्नामेंट में कुछ टेबल बैंग हो जाए, कुछ बूम बाम हो जाए, कुछ क्रेजी हो जाए तो मजा आ जाएगा.
हाँ, definitely. You know,
Why?
Samay had predicted this tape. Huh?
Yes. Nihal, let's check Nihal's game, Soumya. Because
Okay.
Nihal is playing against Buddy Pranav.
Oh, the idea you suggested, has it come on the board?
Which one?
This D4 idea.
Oh, wow. It's happening.
Yeah, Harshit, what's happening? How are you reading the player's mind?
The thing
F5
is,
in
Soumya, if
hand.
you suggest 10 ideas, एक तो होगा ही उसमें का.
We'll see how this happened. Okay, fatafat.
Hmm.
C5 on the board. F4 was chosen by Pranav. F5 idea है. Pranav playing very aggressive, huh?
Yeah.
सारे पॉन्स उन्होंने एडवांस कर दिए फोर्थ रैंक पे.
Mm-hmm.
एंड knight to d7,
Okay.
pawn takes, knight c6,
Mm-hmm.
bishop a4 and d4. Why is it a mistake? We liked this idea, but maybe now queen g2 could be a move. Ah, yeah, maybe queen g2. No, queen g2 I actually dislike immensely.
Because
Now
of
that I
Queen C4.
yes. Aha, this is the way to lose a piece immediately because of bishop takes, queen c1 check, king f2, queen e3 check, intermezzo, and then you pick up the bishop. So,
Maybe it's just simply taking on C6 and taking on D4.
uh-huh. And you're saying that these two pawns are doubled, but
Ah,
I'll maintain both of them.
actually, we should start with F5 even. Oh, after D4 takes, we start with F5.
Takes has to be played because white black is threatening queen c4 here.
Yeah.
So take first,
And
take.
then F5. And now if Queen C4, I have Knight D2. Very importante. Muy importante. And then I just take your bishop on G6 and this is finito. La Comedy. That's why you have to go back bishop F7 and I then take the pawn on D4. Soumya. And this looks really good for white.
You want to play b3 first, huh?
No, no, no. Take it. Take the
Oh,
pawn.
just take it. Oh.
Because knight h5 ideas can also be
Oh
in the air.
yes, oh yes, well pointed out. Knight h5 and rook g1. Yes, the
Yeah.
engine doesn't like it, but we do. I think knight h5 is great. Ah, yeah, I mean that's the thread actually. Knight g7, knight f6 aega to knight. Okay, this is very complex, but these are fascinating ideas waiting to be played on the board. एक बहुत ही फनी चैट थी ठीक है आई डोंट नो इफ दिस इज ट्रू बट
Yeah.
1729 random says Magnus's father told that he has the easiest fan slash dad job. Usually Magnus wins. If he doesn't win, he will win next time.
Yeah. Majjani life.
D4. I'm sure Ella now feels the same. D4 on the board. Bishop C6 taken, Harshit. Pawn takes. And if he finds F5, he will be
Soumya,
in commanding position.
we never did this ever, but we need to go to the candidates tournament. Look at what is happening. Oh my goodness, Soumya.
Okay, let's bring full screen so that I can change the.
Completely unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
Producer G, can we go full screen so that I can bring the candidates tournament on the board?
This is insane. Completely unbelievable, Soumya. The game of Vaishali.
Vaishali, acha. Uh, oh, okay, okay. Just
You
a
can
moment.
open on new tab.
Okay, okay, okay. Just 1 minute. Where are
Guys,
candidates?
Vaishali is winning. Completely
We've
winning
got the board.
Vaishali.
Oh my God.
And look why. Just backtrack 5 moves without checking. 5 moves. 6 moves maybe. Yes. And let's look from here. Guys, look. Black is just completely better. Pawn up. Look, Soumya, white is winning this game.
What happened? Let's see. Rook
It's
e1.
unbelievable.
Black took on a4. So black is still a pawn up. We give
Black
the
is the,
pawn.
and this is the FIDE candidates. And black has 11 minutes, white has 1 minute. And white is
33
winning.
seconds.
Look, rook
C2,
c2.
h5, king f3,
Yes, yes.
a5,
a5,
rook
rook
c6,
c6.
king g7.
Yes,
Oh my god! Did she play rook a1 here?
she played rook a1. Unimaginable mistake. Unimaginable mistake, and Vaishali is completely winning. What a
Oh.
gift.
I mean, it's tremendous for Indian fans here that Vaishali is going to get a win against Tanjongi. But you feel so bad for the player, no matter who they are, to blunder this way in the candidates. Guys, can you find what is the way White can win the game here?
I can't believe this has happened. Guys, this is the candidates events. Black was completely better and she just blundered a piece. How can white win here? Yes, Navikat Singh, exactly. Rook takes f6. And if king takes f6, bishop d4 check. Wins white the piece on a1. Tan tried to give rook f1 check, but simply king e2. White slides the king back to e2. And this is happening in the game right now. But also the h8 square is the right colored square for the bishop on e3. Completely winning. I cannot believe this. Vaishali gets a miracle gift.
मैं तो रो देती हर्षित बोर्ड पे ऐसे
Oh,
ब्लंडर करके.
oof. Sarthak, yes, rook f6. And Vaishali is completely winning. My goodness. कुछ भी हो सकता है सौम्य. Let's go back, I guess. Somehow.
Thanks, Harshit, for pointing this out to us. Yeah, it shows life can be so unpredictable, and you need to be so focused in a game of chess, no matter where you're playing, how strong you are, no matter the move number. One एक नजर घट छूटी और दुर्घटना घटी. That's what happened here. We'll go back to our tournament now.
Mhm.
Full screen लेके आ जाए क्या producer जी, so that I can switch. Yes,
And we have
looking.
very exciting games now, Soumya, because the game of Magnus has a few moves, but also Jan Nepomniachtchi's game is really heating up.
So किस गेम पे फोकस करेंगे अभी हम?
We
यान पे
can
जाए
maybe
and
we
then we
can
can
just
come back to
check
Magnus.
Jan's game. Yes, I like that idea.
Okay, we have the position on the board A. We have this wonderful view of Nordirbek. Knight E5. Actually, बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स पोजीशन है ये. बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स पोजीशन. I would take black here, Harshit. What about you?
Yeah, I would for sure take black. Look at how well he has played actually. C6 का pawn मर रहा है, F5 का pawn मर रहा है. But this is the creative genius of Jan Nepomniachtchi. He is attacking white with brute force here. He wants to go knight g4 next, like you highlighted, and then the rook on e8 also opens up. क्या हुआ लास्ट के 3 moves देख सकते हैं क्या सिर्फ?
हाँ. Yes, maybe we can go from here because king h1, queen h5 happened. तो अभी तक वही position थी. White had
Okay,
taken on d4 with his pawn and c takes.
okay,
And यहाँ पे white played g4, Harshit.
uh-huh.
Queen h3, g5. So white became very ambitious at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Pawn takes, And black goes your favorite move today, f5.
Yeah.
A very strong resource even in this position.
Yeah, trying to get control of the light squares, and I guess white responded with d5.
On takes would mean bishop to d5. So white played d5 first with the idea. Is the idea pawn takes, pawn would be met with pawn takes pawn, and now you don't have bishop d5?
Exactly, exactly. That's what Abdusattorov was banking on. And Nepomniachtchi simply slides back with his bishop to f7. He invites white to take the c6 pawn, which Abdusattorov did. And now Yan is like, hey, you know what? I'm sure you were calculating b takes c6 the whole time. But what about knight to e5? A pawn sack, just trying to get initiative. And I love this idea with black.
Yes, what fun! This is such a fun game to follow as well, Harshit. And unfortunately for Naderbek, it is black who's having all the fun here.
Yeah, Nepomniachtchi actually, this win would be huge for him with the black pieces, because then in round 7 he will have white Soumya, and round 9 also he will have white. So with 6 out of 7, um, oh no, sorry, only इसके बाद दो ही राउंड बचे क्या इसके बाद?
हाँ
Oh
हाँ
my God!
हाँ ये
Tomorrow is the last day, guys. This tournament खत्म होने को आ गया है. So Yan winning this, he'll move to 6 out of 7. That will be huge. So Abdusattorov needs to somehow keep himself together. Let's go back to Vincent's game and see what's happening.
So, okay, knight e2 was met with knight to c7, Harshit,
Mhm.
and short castle finally. So, almost the same position that we were looking at, except the knight is on e2, but maybe it's not that unuseful on e2. It could go to f4 later. Bishop h7,
Wow.
played by Magnus.
Yeah, he does not want to give that light squared bishop. He goes to h7. I think he is preparing to castle long.
Really? Yeah, that's the only way, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe white can try to go knight f4, knight d3.
And go knight d5. Wow. Really like this idea. Knight to f4. Fabulous maneuver here. And finally, the knight move to e2 makes a lot of sense. We are also threatening the pawn on h5. So maybe knight f4 could be met with bishop takes, pawn takes. And then g5 would be terrible, but maybe simply long castle.
Yeah, simply long castle is possible. Soumya, what was one book that really had a profound impact in your chess career? And what was one game that you really, got inspired by?
Such a tough. I have had a long career, Harshit. It's so tough to say just one book, but I think my favorite. I think the book that had the maximum impact on me was Gary Kasparov's My Great Predecessors series,
Mm-hmm.
because I was about 15 years old when I started reading that book. And I remember I started reading that book with Amrita.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to train together at that time in Pune. And I had just finished my 10th standard. So I used to get a lot of time because, 10th ke baad bahut chutti milti hai. And you also go to college. So finally, I had a lot of time to study chess. And I remember I studied those books very deeply. And I think those are amazing books, especially the fact that Gary, whatever he does, he gives his best effort, whether he writes a book, whether he does a TED talk, or he's playing chess. So I think there's a lot of knowledge in those books. A lot of stories. I loved them and they inspired me so much.
Hmm.
What about
My
you,
great
Harshit?
predecessors.
Hmm.
For me, it was the book Anthology of Chess Combinations. I think that I really enjoyed solving, and I am always someone who thinks that tactics are super important to get to 2000, 2100 and calculation. And I think solving that book really also helped me with my visualization, and that's why I'm able to calculate blindfoldedly quite well.
Hmm. Anthology of what? I'll write it down. I've
But
never
maybe
heard of.
for you it's too easy. It's called Anthology of Chess Combinations.
Okay, I'll make a note of it. Wait.
No, highest scorer wins in this tournament.
Acha, but maybe they have like levels, na?
No, it can be tough as well, actually. It can be tricky, some of the puzzles. So you can try maybe.
And
By
also,
the way,
huh.
the format here is that it's 9 rounds and whoever gets the highest amount of points wins. There is no like top four semifinals, quarterfinals. It's like Swiss event, the person with the highest point wins. And whoever wins qualifies for the world championship as well. So it's quite important to do well in this tournament. And you were saying, Soumya?
No,
Yes,
I
me.
recently saw this book called Woodpecker Method. तो
Hmm.
उसमें क्या लिखा है कि आप आसान प्रॉब्लम्स भी सॉल्व करो तो भी जल्दी जल्दी सॉल्व करो और repeatedly solve karo so that the pattern gets fixed in your mind and you can spot those patterns quicker in your game. So I think even if you solve a puzzles book which is aimed at 1800 to 2000 rated players, even then it would be useful for someone like me because maybe I can simply get faster at solving those patterns if I do it quickly, you know?
Yeah. That's a good point. Just keeps looking at puzzles, and I think it will help your brain to be sharp. We can also go to Nihal's game because unfortunately for Nihal fans, he is going down against Buddy Pranav. Young Buddy is playing with initiative here.
Oh, the move that you mentioned, F5. This is your favorite move of the day, Harshit. Teen game mein F5 is the strongest move and you found them in all three. Bishop F7, Queen D4, Bishop to C4. You can rename 5th of April as F5 day in your calendar. And you'll feel so good. Just imagine like 20 years later, you'll be like, I suggested the move F5 and Magnus played it.
Yeah, that was actually a really nice moment. But now इतने लोगों ने खेल लिया कि इतना स्पेशल नहीं लग रहा है. But
अरे
I
अच्छे ही
think
प्लेयर है.
yeah, it's good. But I think the reason why white is so much better, guys, is
Mhm.
that white will go knight c3 now.
Nice.
And the pawns on c5 and f5 are menacing, yeah. Like the c5 pawn controls the bishop from coming into b6. The pawn on f5 just seems to make black's king's life very difficult because if you castle short, the pawn on f5 is already quite strong there.
Mhm.
Knight c3, bishop f4, and white will castle long. Easy.
And even rook G1
Yeah.
and knight H5 is a move that we can consider with white here. Going
So
for the kill immediately.
knight c3 and Pranav has almost a winning advantage against Nihal in only 10 moves. So this will be a very, very quick win by Pranav.
Yeah, this is the 12th move, knight C3. Uh, and you're also threatening B3, is it? Next move? Forcing the bishop to go back.
Yeah,
That's so
but I feel
many
like bishop is
ideas.
not doing a whole lot. So we
Hmm.
don't need to force it. We can just keep on developing. I feel like, yeah, bishop f4, long castle. क्या ही कर रहा है bishop c4 पे anyways.
Danger Sid says, personally, my favorite book series is the GM preparation series. Which is that one? Can you
Mm-hmm.
remind me, Harshit? Do you know about this one?
GM preparation series. Let me just see if I've seen this.
Maybe Danger Sid can elaborate in the chat.
By Yakub Agard.
Okay, Grandmaster Preparation Series. So
Yeah.
I mean, he has written a lot of books. So which books does this series include?
I think calculation, positional play, strategic play, thinking inside the box, and all of these books.
Oh, those are fantastic books. Wow.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
so strong, huh, Danger Sid?
Danger
Because those
Sid is
are dangerous.
dangerous.
Because those are high level books, यार. मतलब मैं तो I think I did them when I was 2300 or so, like
अरे
20.
सौम्य अपना चैट एकदम हाई लेवल है.
अच्छा, बढ़िया.
चेस में नहीं पर.
Oh, on the screen we can see
Yeah,
now the
but
camera view has shifted, but a minute ago we saw Nihal suffering a bit there.
wait, what did Pranav play? Because he made a move.
He's
It
made
was knight d2.
knight d2.
Okay, also good enough.
Knight d2 attacking the bishop, and maybe he wants to go e4. I'm
Yeah,
just
this is
wondering.
just a really bad position. Yeah, for
Mhm. Let's look at what Leon is doing, or do we stick to this one,
no.
Harshit?
Let's check Leon. Leon is playing against Jan Christoph Duda, and Leon is playing with the white pieces. It seems like Jan Christoph Duda has managed to get a good position, especially because the white pawn is on h4. You just take that pawn on h4, one move back to h3, and I would tell you that white is like substantially better.
Hmm. Because the pawn is on h4, you think it's okay for black because of this square, is it?
Exactly. Knight g4 becomes an idea that black can always use, and I think Yan is doing really well.
So maybe a concept for our chat could be the drawback principle. Always see what is the drawback of your move as well as your opponent's last played move. When we move the pawn to h4, as well as have moved our pawn to f4, we now can no more control the g4 square with a pawn. And that's why if the knight is on f6, he can create an outpost for himself by pushing the pawn to h5 and coming to g4. So ये प्रिंसिपल अगर आप सीख लो तो आप ये पोजिशनल मिस्टेक शायद कम करोगे.
Nice.
और मैं भी सीख लूंगी तो भी मस्त हो जाएगा.
Mhm. And here you can see we have the camera angle of Leon completely focused, both hands on his head here. Jan Christoph looks quite comfortable, quite relaxed, and I think he might even be considering a maneuver at some point to go queen h7, queen g6. This
Oh.
might be an idea that black has in his mind so that he can capture back on g4 with the queen.
Oh, this is a lovely idea, Harshit. Many times in the Italian, our queen is on d8, a
Mm-hmm.
pawn is on a5, the black bishop is on b6. And
Mm-hmm.
many times, black actually voluntarily goes queen b8 and goes queen a7 in order to control the diagonal g1 a7.
Mm-hmm.
And यहाँ पे already हमारी queen g8 पे है, so Harshit decides to make use of this um, possibility of going to the corner and bringing it to b6.
Mm-hmm.
g6, sorry. बहुत बहुत अच्छा प्लान था.
Only one thing that I'll need to be careful about is that after queen g6, white will have f5.
अच्छा. But yes, I mean, tactically, you need to make sure that it works. But
Yeah.
as a concept, it's really nice.
So I think queen h7 is definitely going to be a move that Jan Christoph considers. Also can be a move that he plays in this position. So Jan Christoph doing okay.
Mhm. Oh, knight g4
Knight
played.
G4. Okay. So he just wants to collect the bishop pair.
And will he go f5 later to support the pawn on g4 if he gets a
I
chance?
think he will. I think he will. Because at g4 and then f5 next. Yes, you're completely on the money here, Soumya. Pawn to f5 is going to be black's next move since white just lost his light squared bishop. Yes. And now I think it's time to go back to the top board.
Yes,
It is
let's
time.
go.
Yes, because Magnus is down to 22 minutes.
Oof. He has he for castle he played only one move so far. Castle bishop h7 was played
Mm-hmm.
and knight came to f4. And again, black has gone into a deep think.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because Vincent wants knight d3, knight e5. And even though the engine says that black's position is fine, you can kind of see that Magnus, it's hard to kind of decode the position on the board through his expressions because sometimes Magnus can just be unhappy with one of the variations that he calculated. It might not be exactly with his position.
Yeah, yesterday I saw maybe a video on ChessBase India only actually
Mhm.
that Magnus said in his game against Shamsuddin Vokhidov, he was winning after the first move, he said. I basically had a big advantage after the first move because, Shamsuddin went for this French type structure against him and he felt really good about his position. Here, maybe he is suffering so much, not because his position is worse or something, but he feels he needs to play for a win and
Hmm.
he at the most can see an equality, and that is what frustrates him.
That's a that's very likely um, to be true.
So let's see Black's options here. Um,
Can he go
First of
long
all,
castle?
yeah, Long Castle. Yeah, I was also Long Castle. एक मिनट ये इवैल बार कहाँ चला गया? Okay. Long Castle is a very good suggestion, Harshit. I was also wondering
Oh, he takes
whether
on g3. No way. No way. Magnus took on g3. I cannot believe it, Soumya. He gives away his bishop voluntarily and he goes knight e6. But Magnus doesn't this allow knight d3, knight e5? What a shocking decision.
does he want to take on d3 with the bishop and play the position of two knights versus two bishop?
Yes, I think that's exactly what he wants to go for. The other question is, do I even need to move my knight to d3?
But
Maybe
it
just,
seems
maybe I can just play a move like a4, b4, try to go for the minority attack now.
the white seems to be spoiled for choice here because I really like both your suggestions, Harshit. A4, b4, b5. I don't mind playing the double bishop versus double knight position either. White in the driver's seat. I would very likely go knight d3 here, Harshit. Very likely. I mean, okay, apparently it's not a good idea to allow bishop takes, queen takes. But I see. Maybe the reason is that we were talking about the knight coming to d6 being a good decision for black, and maybe immediately knight b5, knight d6.
Yeah. Once the position is relatively closed, in these closed positions, it would be nice to have a knight for white, I think. And
Hmm.
that's why I think that this move knight d3 might not be so good, but because let's ask ourselves, is the bishop on h7 really putting pressure on any of our targets, like any of the pieces or pawns? Not really. Then why should I give away my knight for that bishop? I'll just go a4. If you take on f4, I'll take with the bishop and I'll plonk my bishop on e5.
Hmm. That's a very good way of thinking, actually. I think for most players, Harshit, knight
Mhm.
of e6, knight d3, the bishop into d3 move would not be a big candidate itself.
Yeah.
Because automatically your brain rejects giving up your light squared bishop for the knight. And that's why you don't usually enter this position, because knight d3 followed by knight e5 seems like a huge issue for black over here. But आपने अभी explain करने के बाद I see that a4 is a much better move, and we can in fact place a bishop on the juicy outpost on e5.
Yes. Bishop on e5 and then go for the minority attack and ask the black king कि जाओगे कहाँ पे? जाओगे कहाँ पे? If you castle short, you have already committed your pawn to h5. So don't be surprised if I go for queen g5 at some point in the future. I can simply even continue with this b4 b5 idea. And the pawn on g3 is actually quite a strong pawn, in my opinion, because it allows the white bishop to be stable on f4.
Hmm. Excellent point.
Guys, we are approaching the final few moments of this round. This is getting quite exciting here. Vincent Keimer has managed to get a promising position against Magnus and he's about to make a move.
He made his move,
He
knight to
goes
d3.
93. No,
A,
Vincent.
a very human reaction though, Harshit. I mean, I see that you could sense bishop d3 coming in very quickly, but it's so natural to reject it immediately and think to yourself that, okay, even if black takes, I take back with the queen and I have a pair of bishops.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think White is doing badly. I mean, it's clear that White is the one who's in the driver's seat. But I feel like uh, even Vincent is someone who would love to have gotten like this two result position. And I
Yeah.
kind of feel like, with our bishop on f4, and,
Hmm.
and if he goes knight e6, then our bishop on e5, it's kind of like a two result position.
This one.
Uh, yeah, exactly. Where White is just having such a comfy edge.
But you don't think this is a two result position.
And look,
This
he
is
takes
a,
on d3.
you
Yeah.
think this black could play for win here in any scenario?
Yeah, I mean, imagine my bishop on d1 getting traded to one of the knights.
Oh, yes, yes. I mean, that would be disastrous for white, because the dark squared bishop is a bad bishop technically.
Yeah,
But I mean, my point is, I will not allow it. I'll keep the bishop on c2, queen on d3. You will have problems with short castle, so you will have to go long castle. Sorry. And once you long castle, I anyway continue with my attack with b4 and a4, like you
yeah.
suggest.
So queen d3 played, and now it's Magnus's move. And I do see your point that why should the bishop pair be any worse for white than the other line? Hmm. Maybe I don't have a good answer for that. Well,
I think
one question is h4 immediately. I guess that could be one of the reasons why this is good for black.
h4 immediately. Wow.
Because then g4, I have the f4 square vacant, so I can jump in there, but h3 as well seems to be a move.
Oh, so black could try playing for the initiative here and for
Hmm.
control of some squares around the white king. h4, fine idea here, Harshit. I also like knight b5 to d6 and then to come to f5. It is far-fetched. You won't allow it because you'll put the bishop on c2. But it's a dream and it could come true one day.
Danger set, you're saying like you don't see any clear plan for advantage for white, but oh, I think there is a plan. This idea of going a4, b4, and then putting your bishop on c2, a plan, though it kind of looks good, no, for white. But
Hmm.
I can kind of see his point as well because he maybe people watching are afraid that if the black knight can come from b5 to d6 and then g6 knight f5 as well, it kind of feels like the pawn on g3 can be a target.
Oh, sorry.
And Soumya doing such a good job with the arrows here, giving us different colors. Let's go.
I love this, the colorful board.
I love it when you call me señorita. Divya is also winning. Wow. And
Day for the Indian girls.
Soumya,
Hmm.
yesterday, both the girls, Divya and Vaishali won. And today as well, both of them are winning. So back to back wins for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the weekend is going really well for the Indian girls over here. And
Wow.
what about Prag? Do we have any updates on his game?
Parag Parag has drawn already. All of the games in the men's section are heading towards the draw. But Wei checkmated Esipenko.
Oh, good for Wei. I mean, he's been having a tough tournament so far. So he got a first win over there,
Yeah.
I suppose. But
Mhm.
Esipenko continuing to have a difficult tournament.
Yeah. Which will probably end in a draw, I think. The game of Anish and Sindarov, the only game going on, will very likely end in a draw. But we'll come back to this event now because Magnus is down to 16 minutes. Oof.
Absolutely,
And
Harshit.
he
Like, this is not an easy position to face with black against a lot of players, but especially against Vincent. And with such less time on the board, he goes for h4, Harshit.
he goes
Your
for
move.
it. He
क्या
goes
बात है?
for it. Yes. And I think it makes sense because g4, the f4 का square खाली हो जाता है. Then we suddenly put our knight on f4 and bring the knight from c7 to e6. So actually, when we make this maneuver, we are getting our knight from c7 to f4 if you think about it.
Hmm. Knights sometimes can move diagonally. Hmm. So it's for a good idea here, forcing Vincent to take some decisions. Do you want to go g4 or do you want to play something else? But what is the other move here? I don't see another move. GH doesn't look convincing at all.
No, no, no. You
You
don't want
don't
to open up the rook.
H.
g4, knight f4, queen f5.
Oh, an unusual queen trade offered here.
Yeah. But
Takes
maybe it's not very
H
good because knight h5, knight g3. Hmm.
and let's see. Knight H5 you want to go to, and then knight G3. There will be some pressure on the F5 pawn. Rook E1, of course, will be played so that we have discovered check options.
King f7.
Ah, King F7. I thought castle and attack the
Yeah,
pawn.
that is also very good. So, okay. So let's see knight f4. I don't like this queen f5 move. Do I have anything else?
I don't
Um,
mind this move, to be honest, Harshit. But yes, I saw. I mean, I was thinking bishop f4 works here, but then maybe knight. Oh, knight into f4. Oh, what am I saying? Okay, so castle and black is okay. h4. Let's see other options. g4 तो खेलना ही पड़ेगा ना. Bishop f2
G4
बहुत
खेलना पड़ेगा.
passive. We don't want to go passive here as white.
Hmm.
So g4 खेलेंगे. Knight f4. What if I take the knight because I have a bad bishop, you have a good knight? Why don't I take it?
But this is exactly what we wanted, no? To leave white with the bishop on d1.
No, you wanted the bishop on d1 to get
Ah, sorry, sorry.
exchange.
Yeah, yeah, true. Sorry, my bad. But I guess now the g3 square has become free for our queen to jump in, and h3 queen g3 ideas might be quite dangerous for the white king. So
So,
after h4 g4, we don't want to take
okay, just to show, just to
king
complete this
f8.
line, I think king f7, no? Or king
Actually,
f8.
no, king d8 maybe.
Or king d7, maybe?
King d8, yeah, so that there is no queen f5 check.
Acha.
And h3 next.
You want to prevent queen f5 option, and so because d4 is hanging and now you go h3.
Yeah.
बढ़िया है. So H4, a strong resource found by Magnus and Harshit. Let's see what Vincent will reply.
I'm seeing g4, knight f4, and queen d2 right now. That's what I'm calculating.
And G5?
No, I thought knight
Oh, sorry, knight
c6.
C6 is a much better move. Yes, yes.
And then I think white might play g5 himself. No. Can he
Hmm.
do that? Not really, yeah.
But yeah, the pawn might just be lost actually.
Yeah, rook h5, rook g5.
Okay,
So
so
not
knight,
g5. And if bishop c2, I did not like that black has g6.
bishop C2, idea bishop F5, so G6. Yeah, all good, all accurate calculation here.
And
It's all
now
working out for black.
how do I make progress from this position with white? And you know what I can do? I can actually somehow go rook a e1.
Over here, rook
Yes.
E1.
And then I will take on f4 no matter what.
Okay, long
Or
pass.
or actually, one second, or bishop f2. Let me just confirm. Take rook e5. No. Bishop f2. Yeah, bishop f2 is the move here.
Bishop F2.
Yes. No, it's not.
Passive. You
Yeah,
don't want to go
h3,
back.
g3, knight g2. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, this is, I mean, we don't want to go passive at any point, I think. So let's see.
I guess you can take on f4 and go rook e5. It's my original idea. But
Why not? Okay, weird move, but king F2. Idea rook H1. Too weird, yeah.
yeah, this h3, g3, knight g2 seems to be annoying.
H3 is the main idea here. If I take, then obviously the king is unduly exposed. So,
So very decent idea by Magnus. So I guess I'll just last check if bishop f4, knight f4, and so let's say knight f4, queen d2, knight c6, protecting the knight on f4.
sorry, queen d2, knight c6.
We go bishop c2, threatening bishop f5. So black goes g6. We go rook a1 to pin the knight to the king on e8. So black does long castles. And then we go bishop takes f4.
Oh, maybe bishop f5 here, Harshit.
Oh, it
How's this?
works. Wow. What a crazy move. GF, bishop
Bishop
f4.
f4.
And if FG, a rook opens up right
Wow.
where it stands. This is incredible, Soumya. Wow. Bishop f5.
So,
Boom.
yeah. Finally, all our pieces are in harmony with each other after a lot of struggle. Everything came together for white in this line. And this seems to be the line that works out eventually. But Vincent, we will see if he goes for it. You have commented on a lot of games by Vincent, Harshit. What are the moves he usually goes for? Does he go for something solid, or he goes for the moves that have initiative?
I think he generally likes to play solid chess. Um, but I think he's a bit stressed here, Soumya. He looks a little bit stressed because this h4 and knight f4 idea does seem to be a bit invasive. So that's why Vincent is taking his time here.
Okay, h4, not an easy move to face. And we saw some very pretty lines there. It's quite clear that g4 might be the only good candidate move here, but after knight f4 is where he needs to answer a few difficult questions.
Mhm. And we have people playing some games here. What am I good at? And Ajinkya says good thinking and strategy. Ajinkya is actually a lawyer. You have to be very careful when you play games with him. He can be, and then somehow 729 random did not play, yeah?
Oh, अच्छा, they are playing with each other. अच्छा, मुझे कुछ समझ ही नहीं आया. अच्छा. You want to answer that question, Harshit? ये 729 रैंडम का क्या हुआ?
I'm not.
ऐसे रैंडमली मैसेज भेज के चले गए.
That's why your username is random.
ओए.
No, but I think he's always having positive messages, I think. 729 random.
अच्छा.
Um, I think I'm uh good at dealing with problems.
अरे वाह, मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट स्किल इन लाइफ. क्या
Yeah,
बात
I'm good at dealing with them once they are solved.
है. I'm very good at hiring a good lawyer for my problems.
Okay, so H4, why Vincent? Why is he thinking? Let's go. हमने गेम्स खेल लिए सब कुछ खेल लिए बट विंसेंट इज स्टिल थिंकिंग इन द सेम पोजीशन.
He's tensed. He missed h4 and he feels like Magnus has now put him under pressure.
Yeah, and Magnus gets up from the chair. And these small little things, where your opponent gets up from the chair, I mean, we don't really, you know, put like consider them a lot during commentary, but when you're playing, it does have a small impact on you.
Yeah. We all know of Fisher and Tal's game, no? You know about this game, right, Harshit? Like, Fisher was playing against Tal. He was white and he was completely winning.
Hmm.
And Tal saw the move that wins. It was a
Hmm.
simple move, Rook A E1.
Hmm.
And he saw the move, and Tal, he was about to make it. Fisher is trying to gauge his opponent's reaction because he's not sure whether it's the right move. So
Hmm.
he goes, hovers his hand near the rook, and then Tal just laughs and gets up and walks away from the board. So Fisher now thought that his move was wrong and he played another move.
Oh
And
man.
yes, and Tal actually came back and then they drew the game. And after the game, Tal was like, hey, why didn't you play this other move that you were going to make anyway? And Fisher was like, but you laughed when I hovered around my rook. So Yeah, these are amazing mind games that players play with their opponents.
Yeah, guys, and right now Vincent is left all by himself, and he needs to let go of all those distractions, those psychological games that your mind is trying to play with you, and he needs to lock in. He's leading the tournament. All he needs to do is play the next 30-40 minutes of the game accurately, and he will be in pole position with 2 rounds to go. P1 for Vincent if he doesn't lose this game.
Whom are you betting your 2 cents on, Harshit, for this one?
I was thinking that Vincent is in control,
Mhm.
but suddenly after this long think, I'm not as confident in his chances, but I still think Vincent won't lose this game. It's
Okay.
like he has this 3-4 second lead in a car race, but the people in P2 and P3 are really inching closer and closer and putting pressure on Vincent to still drive very fast. If he makes one slow turn, and here comes Hamilton.
And F4 has been played
What?
by Vincent. A fantastic move,
What?
apparently. The engine loves it.
The engine also underestimated this move.
We
By engine to be
completely missed.
bouncer.
We didn't even consider this move in our candidates, Harshit. F4, what a move. Ignoring. Excuse me, please. Oh my god. You know what was the tactic I missed, Harshit? I need to show this to chat. I thought F4, why can't I take the pawn on G3? And for F5, why can't I give a check on H1? King takes Queen H5 with the idea that King comes to G1 and Queen H2 checkmate. But the bishop on D1 doesn't allow me to go for this pattern, and that's why F4 is such a strong move here.
Man, Vincent Keimer is so alert. And you asked me, what do I think of him? But suddenly, he is actually racing forward. It's as if he is the one trailing the leader because Vincent Keimer suddenly finds this move f4 as if he needs to win this game. And wow, I mean, at g3 pushes f5. This is looking really, really good for Vincent. He might win this game, Soumya.
Wow, what a confidence booster that will be more than anything else for Vincent, who's been in top shape in this tournament so far. And yeah, he's handled this game amazingly well. With after finding F4, Black has replied H into G3, F5 on the board, Harshit.
Oh, really? Okay. At g3, f5 happened. The knight on e6 is under attack.
In fact, Queen F6 could be an idea here. Again, with the same sneaky idea. What is my threat? Guys, Queen F6. Why can't you take the knight on E6 after Queen F6? I'm not going to make the move.
Yes, that's very important, guys. How will you play after queen f6, f takes e6?
Danger Sid says, "Oh my, this is why I love to watch matches without engines. When you think you understand a position, these super GMs play something out of the box." Yeah, thank you. Actually, the first 2 or 3 days I did. First, actually, only 3 days are over. So the first 2 days I did put an engine on the side to help us a bit. But I felt it was a bit unfair, Harshit, because these are 27, 2800s playing here. And here I am telling out the moves as if I know everything. And I also felt like it robs me of the joy of, being surprised at
Yeah,
their moves.
I
So
always loved commentating without the engines. I mean, I had access to the evaluation bars, which is also a big help, but I always love analyzing without the engine lines. And still, this idea of f4, f5 just boggles my mind that Vincent was able to find this in a real game. And if queen f6, people did find the answer to your question, Soumya. Rook to h1's check. You sack the rook. And after king h1, queen h4, it's finito, la comedy.
This time the queen comes to h4, which is not guarded by white. So that is why queen f6 could be a move here. I don't know if it's the best move, but it is a candidate. Let's see if yeah, apparently it's a move.
It's actually one of the best moves. And now maybe uh, white needs to play something like bishop g4, maybe? So that the bishop can,
Ah.
get to h3 and defend the white king on g1.
Wow, brilliant. So queen h4 or rook h1, king h1 followed by queen h4, both the moves will be met with bishop to h3. Wow, what a fabulous defender this bishop has turned out to be.
Defending wins championships. Attacking wins games, but defending wins championships.
Oh, lovely. That's a lovely quote, Harshit, there. Quotable quotes. I'm going to write it down.
And Magnus knows how powerful Vincent's last few moves are. He knows it. Vincent is only 21 years old, man.
What? Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
such a tender age. He will turn 22 this year, but still, I mean, oh, he played a move, by the way, Magnus. He does go for queen f6. This is happening.
I'm also expecting bishop g4. It's such a classy move. It does the job so well. There is no need to think of anything else once you spot this move. In fact, maybe it's the only move, huh?
Queen f6, yes. And now bishop g4 must be played. Because otherwise you will get checkmated. And yes, Vincent, with authority, makes the move bishop to g4, looks at Magnus in the eye. And does Magnus have a strong response to this? He slowly writes down the move Magnus bishop to g4 on the score sheet. Looks at the time. He has 11.5 minutes. I think white will go rook a1 next. Mhm.
G4 on the board, and now we need to take a decision about our knight. Knight g5 might be a mistake actually. Let's see if knight g5 works out. Knight
Because then
g5
you take on g5
takes.
and then you take the pawn on g3 maybe.
Oh, you don't want to give a check. Okay. Don't you want to give a check first, or you'll take directly?
I thought takes because then I thought that the knight on c7 is also falling.
Ah.
But there is of course merit to giving check first as well.
Yeah, both the ideas are interesting. Let's see them one by one. Queen g3. If I play rook h4, I don't think this is a good move, but let's see. Rook h4. Rook comes to e1, right? Ah, maybe we'll find some nice checkmating ideas here after king d8.
King d8, queen d6 check, king c8, queen f8 check, and black's position is crumbling after king d7. Oof. Should be many ways for white to win this, right?
Six, maybe
f6
f6.
maybe is good enough as well. Yes. Well spotted there, Soumya. So
And
white is
rook
winning
seven.
here with after rook e7 and rook e8.
Oh,
No, no, no,
sorry.
no. Rook. Yes, rook e8.
Yeah, rook g7, rook f8 was blunder. So rook
And this
e.
is just winning. Yeah. Yes, well spotted here. So right now, after queen f6, bishop g4, Magnus is yet to make his move. And I'm surprised why knight g5 has not been played yet. Because if he moves the knight to f8, bishop f4, that just looks completely losing.
Yeah, knight f8 is too passive. That's the reason I wanted to make knight g5 work. That's true. And you actually lose the g3 pawn as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so why is he thinking knight g5 must be played, no?
Maybe he's thinking whether he should insert queen h4, but that is, and because you are defending the g3 pawn after queen h4, bishop h3, and then knight to g5, and now you have the g3 pawn defended.
Ah, aha. But he goes for knight g5 immediately instead. And now
Apparently.
queen to h6 is an idea for Magnus. And Vincent is keeping himself
Oh,
calm here.
queen to h6. Quite a good idea here.
One,
Long castle, of course, is our favorite move to make if we get the chance.
yeah, long castle. Then suddenly black will be the one who is putting a lot of attack on the white king because of that pawn on g3.
And I think here rook a1 might not be a good move because of knight to e4. We need to take this knight. Otherwise, it comes to e4. It's an
Mm-hmm.
outpost. And
Mm-hmm.
after bishop f4, I suppose long castle is sufficient for black.
Yes, because this concept of this recurring concept with rook h1 check is super annoying. Knight f2 at some point can also be something that white needs to watch out for. And here he takes the pawn on. What's happening?
He
Yeah,
takes a
bishop
knight,
g5.
queen takes.
Yes.
It's white's turn to move once more.
Okay. So will Vincent start with a check or no? Because if queen g3, I figured out the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If queen g3, black will castle long.
Acha. Queen g3, long castle, allowing f6 check.
And king b8, I thought this should be good for black, but maybe
Maybe pawn takes. Oh no,
f7 maybe, yeah, simply.
f7. The pawn is too strong. There is no attack. Oh, on
Mhm.
the h file. So queen g3, I think the problem was we figured it, right? Rook h4. Oh no, rook h4 was not the move. Okay.
Maybe short castles.
Oh
Just
really?
completely changing the course of the game.
Wow, Harshit.
And then we are
What
down
is
a
short
pawn,
castle? Hmm.
but we are actually not even down a pawn. So, and knight b5 next.
Uh-huh.
This looks quite good for
Seven knight is
black.
hanging, but so is the g4 bishop. Oh yeah, short castle, a fabulous defensive move here. Queen g5, he might give a check first though, and then take on g3, not allowing black to castle.
By the way, Alexei Sarana did win his game against Hosrat Daniel. So Alexei Sarana moves on to 6 out of 7. A very, very formidable score by him. Leon versus Jan Christoph Duda remains to be complicated with both players having 13 minutes each. So we will also try to go to that game.
We have it here, so maybe we look at it for a bit, like maybe a minute or so, and
Mm-hmm.
then go back to Magnus's board.
Mm-hmm.
f6 played by Duda in a sharp position. e5 pawn abhi hanging hai.
Yeah, I mean, I see that black is obviously quite comfortable, but I don't think black has enough to win.
Hmm.
So I think Leon should be able to hold this game against Jan Christoph.
So you think black is trying to win? I thought white is the one having more space, so white would be the one with better chances. But because black has a pair of bishops, you think it's black's prerogative whether to win or make a draw.
I think so. Also because the bishop on f2 is kind of blunted by its own pawns, I do think that black is the one playing for a win.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay then. I see your point. Though I think it is a position of three results, especially with 15 minutes on the clock. We will
Yeah,
come back to this one.
yeah.
I'm very
And
curious to see what Vincent is going to do, Harshit.
yeah, no, everyone is on the edge of their seats on this game as Vincent is on 6 out of 6. He's going for that coveted 7 out of 7. And then he's just 1 point away. If he scores 8 out of 9, he's going to be clear champion in this tournament. So actually, if he wins this game, he just needs two more draws.
What would you play? Rook A1 or Queen G3?
I think because I realized that after Queen G3 you can castle, I will go Rook A1 check. However, it's tempting, na, Soumya, to just go Queen G3 and try to make a draw.
Draw. How are you forcing a draw?
I
Magnus
mean,
is
like
going to play.
Queen takes C7 and then Rook F4. I mean, I do
Hmm.
think that if White wants to make a draw, he should be able to.
Hmm. No, I think White will play for a win here, Harshit. He will play Rook A1. He has the initiative.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love for Vincent to play for a win.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if King F8, it's like a fun line,
Let's
but does F6 work?
F6. Wow, it does work. I don't see the point though. What is F6? Please explain. Ah, okay.
Point is that
Let's.
after Queen G4, no, if
Uh,
you take, I'm very happy. So Queen G4, F takes G7, King takes G7, Rook to E7 check, King goes to G8,
okay, King F6 will lose to
Rook
Rook
F6.
F6. And a nice checkmate coming in. How do
Oh,
we play?
actually, I have something even better.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, King H4?
Yeah, but it will be checkmate one day. Um,
I see the crystal raindrops
Queen D2
fall.
maybe. And we are
Mhm.
threatening Rook H6 and Rook
And Rook
F4.
F4. Yeah. Also, instead of Rook, like if you go back, like after F6, this can happen by the way. This can very well happen.
Do you think so?
G F6, if you take Queen G4, FG7, King G7, just Rook F3 is a simple win.
Ah, and now you don't have this issue with Rook H1 because you created a square for your king to run away.
And Rook E8 check. I have Rook E3. I mean, it still goes on for one more move, but I'm doing quite okay here. So,
Very nice idea there, Harshit. So Queen G5, Rook A1, King F8 might be a mistake. That means because it allows F6.
see, and he took on G3.
Oh, he took on G3. So none of this happened. Queen takes G3. A missed chance for Vincent to put more pressure on Magnus, but he's after all leading the tournament. So a draw will work out in his favor.
Yeah, and we have a super chat by Rupa Darshi Samantha. Magnus shouldn't have removed his mustache. That mustache helped him to win Freestyle World Championship. Um, yeah, he has a new hairstyle this time. But Magnus के लिए he has beard, he doesn't have beard. कुछ भी रहो वो जीत ही जाता है guys. तो अभी देखते हैं इस बार क्या जादू करता है वो.
Yeah, he's the one who sets the trend that rather than follow them.
The trendsetter and 729 random says he's really enjoying our commentary. Thanks a lot,
Oh,
729 random.
thank you.
These messages are so nice, and it makes us even more excited to cover this event.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, 729. Random. You're not random to us anymore. We know you. Castle. Oh,
Castles.
castle on the board. The best move in the position. Played by Magnus in 3 minutes. White plays rook a1. He does not pick up the knight. So he believes that he is trying for more than equality.
Oh, by the way, after knight e8, I think he wants to go f6 still.
Aha, let's. This is quite pretty. F6. Guys, what is the next move after f6? Knight takes f6. I'm not going to make the move on the board. Are you alert in the chat?
And yes, Magnus did say this, that unless I'm mathematically out, you can't count me out.
After the World Blitz Championship, where he lost 2 or 3 games in the tournament, 3 games in 2025
And still came back.
December, and he still came back and won the event.
Yeah. Bishop e6 check. Exactement. Harsha. Nothing. Finding it. 6 minutes for Magnus. He goes rook e8. By the way, we don't have to move, but just to update that Nordirbeck and Jan's game is heading towards a draw. Then Vashier and Hans Niemann's game is also heading towards a draw. And then this means that if Pranav wins, Pranav is actually in a very good position to fight for first place.
What?
Yes,
Pranav will be on how many points? Maybe we can just go there quickly and come back here.
Pranav is on 5 out of 6. It's crazy.
He's a pawn up in an endgame.
Yeah,
I mean, okay, don't blunder knight d3, but eventually you want to push your pawns forward. King f7. Maybe b4 is a move I would play.
yeah.
Because the
B4
knight
is a very good move apparently because
doesn't.
B4 you can get knight e4 next.
Yes.
And
And
Pranav
pieces.
can move to 6 out of 7. Yeah, Soumya.
Yeah, something went terribly wrong for Nihal in the opening, Harshit. F5, starting with F5, then playing C5 in this position, uh, being very aggressive there, but D4, sacrificing a pawn instead of taking on C4, perhaps was the main mistake here.
Yeah, he got a little over creative in his way of playing, and now he's paying the price as Pranav will torture him in that endgame. I guess B4 94 makes sense. Pranav does have slightly less time on the clock, only 7 minutes. So let's see if Pranav will manage to win this endgame. I personally think that Nihal is very slippery, super
Hmm.
slippery, especially in this time control. So I
Uh,
have a feeling that he might be able to hold this, even though I know it looks really bad. I
hmm,
think Nihal is someone who can hold this.
hmm.
And look at him, Nihal. He is fidgetive. Not sure which word, but he's he's going to be ready.
भावना पोचल्या ते
Correct.
महत्वाचं. Are you fidgety on the board, Harshit? Are you calm? Are you fidgety? Do you have a particular fidget?
I'm I'm generally um I'm generally quite calm, I think. Uh, because I mean recently I've become more calm because I as I said, like I have started caring less about my results. So it makes me just play chess It makes me be able to play chess without having pressure. But before, actually, I was very nervous always because I cared a lot about my rating. I cared a lot about my rankings and all of this, and it actually used to stunt my ability.
Being calm is definitely a superpower. It's amazing, Harshit, that you can retain that over the board. Uh,
Pankaj Jain asks, what's my screen time, guys? पूछो ही मत पूछो ही मत
स्क्रीन टाइम कैसे चेक करते हैं? I have seen this question in a lot of YouTube videos, and I don't even know how to do it. Like, how are you supposed to check your screen time?
I think in your phone there is some setting which tells you how long you have used the phone. But to be honest, for me, it's not my phone. I am on my laptop all the time.
Ah, okay.
Like I am on my laptop for an unhealthy amount of time in the day. Maybe 12, 13 hours.
But out of those 12, 13 hours, 8 hours, though you're here. So rest 3 hours, it's okay. No, like if you
Yeah,
must be having some work to do also in life,
yeah,
no?
it's not bad.
Yeah. So, okay, let's go to Magnus's board now that we've
Yeah.
covered some other games.
Mm-hmm.
Rook E1, Rook E8 खेला Magnus ने and white went Rook E5. Yes, this is a very typical idea when you have an outpost. You go there with one of your pieces, Rook E5. Instead of taking on E8, sometimes go ahead with your rook in the same file if it is possible. Rook
But
F6.
जीत सकता है क्या मैग्नस यार rook f6 and now somehow I think he wants to go rook f8 and then he wants to go knight b5. Does Magnus have chances to win this? I think he does.
Are
And
you
if
serious?
Magnus wins this, Soumya, this will just like completely open up the tournament.
Yeah,
Boom.
definitely. Definitely. If Magnus manages to put more pressure on Vincent, then it is quite possible he can even win this. I think Vincent, you think Vincent needs to bail out now, or does can he keep trying?
I think not going for rook a1 check and then playing knight d3. Both of these moves were inaccuracies, especially the move knight d3. I think practically this was a wrong decision by Vincent.
But he missed H4, Harshit. That's what he missed.
Yeah. But rook
Just
a1
tell us.
check also I think would have been a much nicer inclusion in this position to force the black king into a slightly worse square and then take the pawn on g3. I'm not sure why he didn't do this यार ये तो कितना लॉजिकल था सौम्य.
वही मुझे भी नहीं समझ में आया, क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम है रुके इवन को? किंग F7 जाएंगे क्या? किंग D8 जाएंगे? कहाँ जाएंगे किंग के साथ? किंग
f7
F7,
वगैरह तो f6 ही डेंजरस लग रहा है.
F6, um, GF
Like
ही मार दूं क्या?
but then queen g3 and this is very dangerous for you no.
I agree, but I'm just trying to make some moves and survive.
No, I mean I'm saying like
Oh, knight B5
I
maybe.
feel like this should have been Vincent's decision. That's what I
Hmm.
feel. But okay, he decided otherwise. And now, if you go to the live position on the board, the problem is the d4 pawn for Vincent. That's his biggest problem.
Not even finding a move here, but okay, we'll go to the live board. Rook F6, pawn on D4.
Yeah,
Queen
that's the
D2 might also be a maneuver at some point in the game. So, abhi Rook E8 perhaps is a decent, right? Okay, let's imagine the rooks get traded, the queens get traded. What about this endgame with
all end
rook
games are good for black.
because of the pawn on D4?
Yeah. And can we get Magnus's camera as well? Because now we are approaching the final few moments of this game,
I'll
final few
just
moves.
come in a moment,
Sure,
Harshit.
sure. Absolutely. Take your time, Soumya. And maybe we can go full screen if there is a full screen and a board window available. Otherwise, we can go full screen on Vincent as he's thinking in this position. He can play. And yes, this is such a fantastic uh, camera angle here that we have. This one, not so much because the board covers Vincent's face. Yes, this is perfect. Let's go. You can see there. Because of the AI, the problem is that the board keeps moving. But yes, this is for you to get a feel of how it is inside the playing hall. Vincent Keimer having 6 out of 6 points. Now only has 9 minutes on his clock. The final 20 minutes of this game, the El Clasico, German number one versus world number one. We have seen Magnus always outmaneuver his opponents in these kind of positions. Can he do it again? And Vincent is ready with his move, but he hesitated. He takes his hand back, wants to make sure he's making the right move. No second time control here. Very stressful moment for this young boy because this game can decide who will win the Grenke Masters, Grenke Freestyle Masters this year. Wow. Still no moves by Vincent.
Oh, wow.
And Rook F3 played and he drops the bishop, apologizes to Magnus, adjusts his bishop back. Rook F3 played. Magnus still has less time than his opponent, less than 6 minutes. And Soumya, you're back.
Yep, back with some
Let's
real emotions.
go.
Let's go. Rook F3. Vincent's
Rook
last
F3.
move. No, that was amazing actually to have the full screen and we got a
Yeah, we
good
can
view.
keep that actually. I think
Uh,
that's a good angle.
uh.
And now Magnus is about to make the move. But the problem is, cannot keep the board.
Maybe we keep this for a couple of more minutes and then
Sure.
because um it's also nice to have a look at his expressions while he's making the move.
Yes, absolutely. You can see here Magnus is down to 5 minutes. You will see him taking a look, taking a glance at the clock there, and there it was. He took a look at the clock. He has 5 minutes. Photographers want to capture the final few moments of the game to see the expressions of the players. And Magnus, I think, will now
Oh,
move the rook to f8.
yes. He makes rook to f8. And the plan that you have been going for, Harshit, is likely to happen, right? Knight b5, knight d6, knight d4, queen d2, queen c1. White has to deal with a lot of threats suddenly. No threats for black. Black king, super safe on g8.
But they cannot see the board right now. So
Oof.
let's maybe try to see if we can once try to put it here. Yes. And we were looking at basically the black knight rerouting itself from c7 to d6. It's 3.5 hours into the game here, 7:30 p.m. local time, midnight in India.
Almost, yes. 11 बज चुके हैं. Rook E F8. Game is heating up. I love that both the players are down to 6 minutes for Vincent and 5 minutes for Magnus. So they are going to get into some time pressure now. They need to make their decisions really fast, but the game is also heating up on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Knight B5 आ रहा है, शायद A4 एक मूव हो सकती है यहाँ पर, but then anyway knight E8, knight D6. How are we preventing this rerouting? Maybe A4, Harshit, is what I would consider here. What do you think?
A4, but then there is knight E8, knight D6 anyway.
Yes, but can I, can I go for rook E6 here?
Knight D6, you have queen takes D6. Uh-huh. And queen takes G4. Knight D6.
No, I'm not sure what I'm going to take it with.
Oh, by the way, some moves are happening on the board.
Let's
Let's
go.
see what's happening.
Rook E7 by Vincent with the idea, but knight B5 allow किया है उन्होंने. He does not mind the attack on the D4 pawn.
Knight B5, does he want bishop H5?
Oh, wow. See that. Amazing tactic that Harshit spotted so quickly here. Bishop to H5. What a move.
If queen H6 is the only move, and now, Soumya, maybe now, rook F4.
F4. And for rook F5, what is it that you have in mind, Harshit?
I'm rook F5 and rook E8 check now, because then king H7. I have bishop G6 check.
Wow. Classy. Why doesn't it work? Because apparently this is a fortress, but
Draw,
okay.
knight D4. But okay, white has nothing to lose here.
Absolutely, and white can go for this rook E7, an incredible find by Vincent while being short of time. Magnus, do you think Magnus plays knight B5? So he's allowed bishop to H5.
Bishop H5. Vincent.
Come on, Vincent.
Can he clutch?
Spider-Man pose is back.
The clock is ticking. The heart is racing. And Vincent yet needs to keep himself in control here and calmly play the move bishop to H5. Look at the focus with which both players are thinking. Cameras all around them. Man, it's not easy to be in their shoes, guys. It's not easy. It's easy to sit here and commentate, give feedback and criticize them, but to be in their shoes, it's not easy. They're heavy shoes to fill.
Especially the fact that they will be 5'11" in size. They won't even fit me.
Arre, arre, arre.
It's difficult to walk in them. Knight B5 on the board. Vincent क्या करने वाले?
Oh, he plays it. Wow. Wow. This is getting really exciting. A brilliancy on the board.
Magnus missed it. Magnus missed it. Look at his expression.
This is a special move by a special player. And now 4 minutes on Magnus's clock. Oof, guys, do like the stream. Final 10 minutes. And then round 7 will be done. Penultimate day.
And Magnus could lose this one. Guys, It is such a crucial game, like the stream. And what do you think? Tell us in the chat. Is Magnus going to defend this, or is he going to lose his grip on the position?
I think queen at 6 seems kind of forced here, Soumya. I think he's considering whether to include queen c1 check and then go back queen at 6.
Queen
That's what he's
c1
thinking about.
6. Okay, so for all the new players here, queen into h5, bishop is not being blundered here because the rook on e7 attacked the pawn on g7, and now queen g7 is a checkmate. That's why bishop h5 was a stunning move to play, getting the bishop out of the queen's path to g7. Queen takes g3 would be followed by rook takes g3. Once again, we attack the g7 point with our rook, and there is no good way to defend it. The only way, according to Harshit, which is a great one, is queen at 6 or queen c1 check, king h2, followed by queen at 6. Queen c1 might be also faced with rook f1, maybe. And now queen at 6.
Yeah, a lot of intermediate moves that both players need to calculate. I am getting quite nervous here with 2 minutes on Magnus's clock and no moves yet. Magnus, will you give a check or will you go back queen at 6 immediately?
And if
And then,
Magnus loses, oh, this is a fabulous view actually.
oh
Oh,
la
wow,
la,
he gives a
gives a
check.
check, gives a check. But that's a small inaccuracy.
Why? Is the rook better on f1 for some reason?
Rook f1, queen at 6, and maybe white can just make a slow move here.
Bishop g6, huh?
Bishop
Bishop g6
g6.
maybe, Harshit.
And if,
Defending the pawn on f5, threatening rook f4 to rook h4.
wow, Soumya, that's a great move. If knight d4, rook f4. And we can see the other cams as well beneath our board. So this is like our multi-board view, but all eyes on that center board.
No, rook f4 is not working because of knight f5.
Oof.
And rook g6. Actually, rook f4 is met with rook g6 and we blunder the rook. So knight d4, what is the point? Oof, we
Not
don't
easy
have
to.
much time to analyze. They are going to make their move soon. Let's find it.
Let's maybe stay live with the live board. I feel like instead of going for this, white might just go for rook f4 immediately, supporting the pawn on d4. So what's the live position?
Life
Yes,
position
this
is
is the live
queen
position.
c1. I
And
think
now,
king h2 can be auto-rejected because of queen h6 and you're pinning the bishop. You don't want to get the bishop into a pin.
yeah, and Vincent, he knows he has a few options. He's contemplating whether to bring back the rook from e7, to bring back the rook from f1, or to play the move king h2. And he goes for
Oh,
king
it was
h2.
king h2.
Queen h6 back.
It's a mistake, Harshit. Queen h6 back, and we no more have bishop g6 at our disposal in certain positions. Um, yeah, you do realize the line that we saw where we were sacrificing a rook and then bishop g6 check. That is not possible anymore because the bishop is pinned.
Yeah, and he goes queen
Queen
g4
g4,
though.
a good move. This is what he's seen.
Guys, चल क्या रहा है? Goes queen to g4. Can black not pick up the pawn on d4? But then maybe he wants rook h3. Oh la la. Mamma mia.
Oh, they're finding such brilliant moves one after the other in a time clutch situation. Knight d4 will be met with rook to h3, threatening discovered check and picking the queen up.
2 minutes and ticking for Magnus. We also have Leon who's playing on the board beneath. But right now, let's just see the finish of this top board, as this will decide who will be leading. after round number 7.
Oh, he's
And
going
knight takes d4 played.
on. Rook h3. What is on his mind? Does he want to take the pawn and allow bishop f7? Takes, takes on h6, and knight takes on h6, attacking the queen and going for this knight and rook versus queen position.
Yeah, we are going to get to see what Vincent has in his mind because he has just sacrificed a pawn.
This is the best game of the tournament so far. Incredible fight by both the players. Ah, both of them down to 3 minutes for Vincent and 2 for Magnus. It's not clear who's going to actually win this game. I think all three results still possible, Harshit.
Yeah, but why is Vincent thinking rook h3 is automatic? Only move, खेलना ही पड़ेगा.
Yeah, I mean the bishop is pinned. You cannot move it. Ah, you have to go for rook h3, good or bad.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And by the way, Buddy Pranav is on the verge of converting his advantage and moving to 6 out of 7. So he is going to be in a very good position going into the final day, defeating the informed Nihal Sarin. But right now, it's Vincent who needs to make a decision, and Vincent is the more that he thinks in this position, the more it worries me that he won't play Rook h3. But what else?
What else? There are not many options. Queen into d4 runs into queen h5 check. Rook h3, queen into f5. The g7 pawn is attacked only once and defended well. Like this line, guys, will not work because queen h4 runs into queen f4.
Yeah,
The
or
check.
yeah, yeah.
So that's not an option. Rook h3 needs to be played. He's evaluating the endgame, Harshit. The rook and knight versus queen endgame. But okay, he has already gone for it. Maybe he regrets going for this line. We don't know. He's dealing with his emotions right now. But he's going to go for rook h3, I suppose.
Well, he should. He definitely should go for Rook to h3.
Oof. 1729 random says if Vincent's time becomes less than Magnus, Magnus will win. This is my prediction. What is yours?
Well, his time is lower than Magnus's now. So this means that people have started to believe in Magnus's chances to win this game. But I'm just hoping that Vincent doesn't forget about his time.
There
He
is a
has
30-second increment from move one here. Guys, it's not a rapid time control. It's a classical time control here.
he has a minute to win it.
Well put. Ah, he's made his move. Queen into d4.
Oh no! I can't believe this. What?
Why did he go for this?
Yeah, this is. Oh my man.
Ah, he wants to go king g1 here, Harshit. Rook f5 still not possible because queen g7 is controlled.
Ah, okay.
So
But
it's not that big a blunder. But rook f5 might have been the move here because queen g7 is not possible. The bishop is still pinned.
you're right, Rook f5 was a missed opportunity by both players, but still, Magnus is in the driver's seat here and he's up a pawn in the current position. White does have his rook on the 7th rank, which gives him some compensation. By the way, a smile on Jan and Norderbeck's face as they make a draw. So that
Oh,
game has finished. And you can see
yeah.
handshake there. Magnus. Queen g5 can keep his chances alive.
King g5, defending g7, threatening rook f5, rook b7, rook f5. A likely line because rook a7 might be too much. You blink and you miss. King g1. What is Magnus? I think Magnus will definitely go for queen g5 here. What else? Queen h6, but rook h3 we don't like.
Yeah, Magnus will really be kicking himself once he goes back home
Oh, he goes
and
rook
sees the
f7.
missed opportunity. He goes rook f7. Yes, Soumya.
Yeah, we should definitely have a look at the rook f5 line, but later. Right now, rook f7, rook f7, the game is moving very fast. He's still a pawn up, Harshit.
Yeah, he's
Ah,
still
the
a
a7 pawn is hanging. I missed that. A7 pawn is hanging, and he's going to, but he will have his chance in the queen endgame, no? It's not easy.
No, with 1 minute on the clock, I think Magnus can squeeze even the drawest of end games. And this one actually has a lot of juice left to play for. And he's thinking what to recapture back on f7 with.
Hmm.
45 seconds, 44, 43. And he takes back on f7 with a queen.
Queen f7.
And queen chops the pawn on a7.
Point. Oh, I believe rook f7. You know, rook f7, the line I was suggesting actually doesn't work because rook takes f5, queen b8 check, king h7 runs into rook h3, king f7 runs into queen b7, and that is why Magnus took with the queen and not the rook here, Harshit.
Yeah, that's very well explained. To understand the thought process of Magnus there, and now we know why he took with the queen. Queen takes a7 and rook e8 play. He wants to bring his own rook on the 7th rank. He's like, Vincent, तुमने तो बहुत मजा कर दिया. Now I will bring my rook on the 7th rank. Look at Nordirbeck and Jan Nepomniachtchi there. They want to go, but the cameraman is there. So they couldn't move past them.
Slight problems. Oh, that was so cool. That was great observation there, Harshit.
Yeah, this game has now piqued the interest of not just the spectators and viewers, but also the players, as two of the best freestyle chess players are pitted against each other. Vincent having a minute and 10 seconds on his clock, and Magnus also having a minute and a few spare seconds.
Oh,
50 seconds.
f6 might not be a good move, right? Pawn takes. I open the king up, but the king always has a shelter on f8.
Man, I'm getting a bit nervous for Vincent now. Vincent, 30 seconds, and Magnus has put his foot on the accelerator. He's
Yeah,
about to go queen f6. Boom.
I think queen f2 might be a decent move to play here. That would be my choice. f6 on the board, Harshit.
Oh, wow.
f6, g takes. He wants to break open the king's file so that there are ideas like rook g3, queen c5 if required. Oh, maybe he goes queen c5 first.
I think queen d4 will be the move that Vincent plays in this position. But that being said, I have a feeling that Magnus is going to win this game now. Let's see if Vincent has it in him to
Queen
defend this endgame. Queen goes back to f2.
a very sensible move actually because you want to keep the rook passive. and defend this pawn. Yes, you're a pawn down, but at least you have made sure that black's pieces are now passive and in defensive positions.
Yeah, and I think at some point he wants to give a perpetual. Like after rook e6, he will go just queen g3 check and keep giving checks to that black king on g8. And that's why he sacrificed a pawn so that he can keep annoying the black king. And
Is
we
it
don't.
compulsory to write moves when you have less time than a minute? Yes, because you get a 30-second increment per move in this tournament, and so you have enough time to write your moves as per the rules. And there is no time addition of 30 minutes after 40 moves, guys. This is 1.5 hours plus 30 seconds flat.
This is it. This is what you came for. Look at Magnus there. He looked at his clock. He saw he only has 15 seconds and needs to make a decision.
Come
No
on,
time
Magnus.
to ponder. Right now, 5 seconds, Magnus. He goes rook e6.
Not
No,
yet,
he
not
doesn't.
yet.
3, 2, Magnus, play.
Ah,
1. Oh my God, with
oh
one
my,
second on the clock.
2 seconds on the clock. He made rookie six finally, and Vincent instantly played queen h4. He was ready with his move. Rook g3, king f8, queen h8, king e7, rook g7 is the big threat.
Man, Vincent is actually suddenly posing threats with which he can not just draw but win. And Magnus with 10 seconds, it's not easy to play this. Muy
Oh,
difícil.
oh, this game could end whichever way. King f8 might be the only move. King f8 on the board.
He
Queen
plays it.
h8 might have to be met with queen g8, Harshit. I think that's the only way.
Just
What else?
giving up a pawn on f6. Yeah, but what to do? What to do? And Vincent is just making sure whether he can give queen h6 check, but no, that will allow queen g7. So
And
he
maybe
has to, but he can go rook g3.
yeah,
Some
rook
tricky move, and he goes for it.
goes rook g3 and king e7. A good move by Magnus, but what does he have in mind? Queen h8, maybe rook. What? How is he defending against rook g7? I don't see
उसने
it.
कुछ तो क्रेजी सोचा है सौम्या. कुछ तो
King
सोचा है मैग्नस ने.
कैसे king d6 जाएंगे? हाँ. Oh no, I don't see it, Harshit. Queen
I
h8, king
think queen
d6.
h8, he wants rook e1 and then queen e6, Soumya. I don't know how Magnus calculated this so quickly. It looks losing.
And you have
And he
king
goes
to
queen
h8
h8.
on the board. Oh, let's
And immediately Magnus knows his next move. I think he'll just go king d6. He'll just run away.
d6, rook g7 will be met with rook e1. Yes, king d6 on the board.
Yeah, he played it.
Oh
He
my
played
God.
it. क्या चल रहा है guys ये गेम में? And I just saw the reaction of Vincent. He was like, "Whoa, Black can do this? I cannot believe it."
I can't believe it still. You are telling me it works, but I still can't believe it, Harshit. Rook g7, rook e1, king f2.
No, Rook G7, Queen E8. That's the trick.
Oh, that's
And
the
then you might
point.
lose.
Oh, I see that. Now that you pointed out. But yes, I have a bailout with queen e8, rook takes, and rook b7, and this is a good bailout.
It's not. Maybe D4, D3. My
Oh,
pawn
my
is
king is cut
queenie.
off. My king is cut off. Vincent, make a move.
12. Oof. I'm very nervous for Vincent. Man, he goes Queen
B8
B8
check.
check.
The best check on the board at the moment, and he finds it.
क्या crazy खेल रहे दोनों.
King
दोनों के
c
दोनों.
king c5 would have been met with rook c3. So queen c7, queen f8 check, forcing the queen back, which will again be met with queen b8. Ah, if this is a draw in this manner, then it's the fairest result possible, Harshit.
Oof. एकदम इतना मतलब crazy game, and after all of this ups and downs, the emotional roller coaster that we we went through, the game seems to be ending in a draw.
Yeah,
And this would mean that Vincent will maintain his lead in the tournament. And you can see Magnus there checking the score sheet, and he knows he can't really play for a win. King c5, Queen a7. It's just a draw. King c5, you can even lose with Rook c3 check. So I don't think he will take such a big risk. So this game is going to be one of the most entertaining draws. Football में 0-0 draw, but not without a
he
crazy
goes king
fight.
c5.
Oof,
Harshit,
भाई ये नहीं ड्रॉ हुआ है अब तक.
he is maximizing his chances.
But Queen a7 ना.
Why not rook c3? Please help me understand. Rook c3, isn't it a checkmate?
वो भागेगा सौम्य, वो भागेगा d4 से, कुछ तो सोचा रहेगा उसने.
Oh, this is how the king escapes. It Queen a7 is the best move, is it?
I think I will, if I see a draw, I will just make it. ये खेलना ही नहीं है मैग्नस के साथ, कुछ तो
So that
जादू करता है लास्ट में. Queen
yes,
a7 check.
move b6 will be met with queen a3.
Yeah, that's over. So king
Queen
d6, and okay, they're repeating.
queen b8. Magnus forcing Vincent to find all the good moves in the position, but Vincent is up for the task.
Yeah. Queen b8 check, and I think Magnus knows that there is nothing more to play for in this position.
रूपादर्शिनी says खेल वो रहा है इधर हालत हमारे खराब हो रही है. That's true. Maybe he's way calmer than us. uh,
But finally, I think Vincent found a draw. Yeah, he looks so calm there, Vincent. Yeah, Vincent knows कि अब तो draw हो गया है. And I loved that the spirit with which Vincent played this game. He played for a win until he could, and then at some point he realized that I can't play for a win anymore, and then he pulled the brakes at the right time. This was a perfect game of chess, I think, practically speaking. And here,
extremely mature. Extremely mature play by Vincent.
by the way, Duda defeats Leon Mendonça, which means Duda moves on to 6 out of 7.
And handshake, Harshit.
Yeah, handshake. Draw. What a game, guys. मजा आ गया.
What a fighter. Both of them. What a big fight. Vincent, extremely satisfied. Has
And they
this
have a.
sweet smile on his face, which he couldn't hide.
Yeah, after this game, I think both players must have released a lot of adrenaline.
Oh, what are they looking at? Oh,
I
some
think they're
d7.
analyzing.
I think they're analyzing that position with queen versus rook and knight, Harshit. That
Yeah,
game.
yeah, true. And maybe Vincent said did not really want to risk it with the rook and knight being centrally placed, so they agree for a draw. What a day this has been. Soumya, can we just quickly check the results of the other games as well?
Yeah.
This was our marquee matchup between Magnus and Vincent. And this game, look at this, they're still analyzing. I love this, You play this very, very tense game with your opponent, but at the end of the game, you are smiles and you're kind of talking to each other.
Yeah, this is my favorite part of being a chess player, that after the game, you analyze the game with your opponent whom you wanted to defeat just 1 second ago, and now you're helping them understand your thoughts and improve along with yourself.
Yes.
So let's see the other results. Harshit, Nodirbek drew with Nepo on the second board.
Mm-hmm.
मैक्सिम वेशियर-लगरेव का गेम अब तक चल रहा है हांस नीमन के साथ. He might win this. Oh, actually, rook g3 takes bishop d1 is a threat. Queen हो रही है.
I'm kind of thinking if, yeah.
I
But
think,
let's say rook e1
yeah, I think rook e1 might be the only move, no? King
or rook
d
g1 actually. Let me go to g1.
g1 क्या ही tricky है. Guys, what's the move after rook g1, king d2? One last question for the day, and we will wrap it up soon. Rook g1, king d2. What's the point? आए क्या कुछ आंसर्स चैट में?
I think people are thinking.
I think they're still getting over Magnus game. You know, you
Yeah,
need to
bishop
emotional
e1. Yes, xm
cover.
x588. Mriduljan says bishop f4, but I think bishop e1 is the move. And then you take the rook on g8 and you are winning. So rook g1, and I think this game should also be ending in a draw. But white has some chances.
Mm.
White has some chances. And then Pranav defeated Nihal.
Oh,
Buddy Pranav defeated Nihal, moves to 6 out of 7, and he's a contender. Soumya. He's just half a point away from the leader.
he has more points than Magnus Carlsen at the moment.
Wow. Buddy Pranav, and you can see them in that camera angle there. They were behind. He has won his game. So,
Massive, massive result for Pranav. They finished their game a few seconds ago, it seems, and that's Nihal walking away from the board. और लियोन की ड्रॉ हो गई हर्षित. लियोन drew with
oh, that's a
Dula.
good result. That's a good result. So we might see Leon versus Magnus tomorrow. They are on same points.
That's
And
tough
guys,
actually. बहुत सारे 5.5 पे है हर्षित. बहुत सारे players अभी 5.5 पे हो गए. But yeah, it is possible.
so we can get very exciting matches tomorrow. Two more games remaining only, Soumya. Only two more games remaining. Vincent Keimer at the top of the leaderboard with 6.5 out of 7 points. And then we have I think we only have two players on 6 out of 7, which is
Pranav and Sarana, both of them
Pranav
won their game.
and Sarana, which means they will play against each other. And then we have Magnus and the rest of the crew on 5.5. So everything to fight for tomorrow, everything is on the line. And tomorrow, I think, do we start a bit earlier? Let me just check the schedule because we might be starting a bit earlier tomorrow,
Are you
Soumya.
serious? Earlier than 10 a.m. for the
Yes,
players there? I doubt it, Harshit.
for me
Okay.
also, Soumya.
Yes, for you
No,
too.
no, it's 10. बच गए भाई. 10 a.m. ही है. So we will be back tomorrow, same time. Soumya, thank you so much for being here. Producer bhai, thank you so much. Guys, for joining, thank you so much. And for now, we are signing off.
Bye bye. Good night. Thank you, everyone.